with Abe Dinkus right now, the one and only Abe Dinkus, you know.
Well, we are still waiting on one of our lucky contestants right now, but I will introduce our other two to begin with. So first of all, we have JS Urban Adventures. Welcome,
What's
JS.
up?
Good to see
What's
you.
up, Abe?
Oh, not a lot. I think this will be a fun conversation. It's a pretty spicy one, I'm sure, too. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. And we have Reexamination Show. Welcome in, Rex.
Hello, hello. Good to be here.
Good to see you. So we are missing Moerebuttle at this point. But
Yeah,
I figure, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say update on that. In my time zone, he has it towards an hour ahead. I don't know how that got messed up because I gave everybody Eastern Standard Time, and Central Time, and Mountain Time,
Yep.
so that there was no misconception, and I copy pasted everybody. So I don't know what happened. But his stream is set for 8, so he might be taking a nap for all I know.
Oh, well, shoot.
And he wanted to do this the most.
Yeah, that's
We gotta wake him up.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Is your name really Rex?
No, that's just the name that's been attributed to me because apparently Reexamination is too short, even though JS Urban Adventures is even longer.
Rex Arcane.
It would be Reeks.
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 I prefer Rex, but I'll take Rex. It's fine. You know.
I usually, when I'm talking to you in chat, I say Rex.
Yeah.
I do capital R-E, capital E-X.
There's definitely a difference in pronunciation of those vowels, and you know, I like consistency in that way.
Yeah.
But you know, Rex is an actual name. Reeks is just an adjective. So
It means stinky.
exactly.
Or we could just call you RX.
Right. The doctor is in.
Yeah, there you go.
RX.
So, gents, my plan was to do 5-minute openings for each of you so you can kind of lay out why you have the stance you do. To the chat, I believe JS is no race doesn't exist and no racism doesn't exist. Rex is no race doesn't exist, but yes, racism exists. And Mo is taking the third position, which is yes, both exist. So tonight's show is about, do race and racism exist? I was going to give each of these lovely gentlemen 5-minute opens so they can flesh out their positions, and then we're going to go into cross-examination where it's 2-on-1. We'll take the 2 agreed positions versus the 1 non-agreeing position. So if there's 2 no's, they'll be against the yes. And we'll do that 3 separate ones. so that each of these gentlemen get to be in a 2v1, and then we'll do an open floor for them to hash it out. And then after that, if we can make our super chat goal, then we will open it up to an open panel for a short time, and then we can have other people come up and hash it out with you too, disagree with you or agree with you or tell you why you're stupid. You know, the internet's fun like that.
The usual.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I've been streaming most of the last week, and so now I got this cold, especially at VK, because I wanted to go deep.
Down, man.
I wanted to go deep in VK. You went deep in VK. You went even deeper. You got to get revived. But had to go out and get some sunlight, get some oxygen today, as streamers are not well known for their introduction to oxygen and sunlight. So
true. We need like intravenous vitamin D, I swear.
Which is part of my vampire theory about streamers and how they can do it for so long. They don't want the sun.
Why do you think I'm here?
This is where vampires. Yes.
Yeah, this is where I can find them. So
indeed. Does Count Emmett is he a vampire? Is that why they call him Count, or is that just because he's nobility?
He's the Count of Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia.
The first of the vampires.
Is that the neighbor to Panelstein?
Yes. Yes. And they're slowly conquering it, from what I've heard.
Warring neighbors.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of people groups.
I think he's got a bunch of large sharpened poles in his yard, so we're just waiting.
He's Vlad the Impaler as well.
He's Emmett the Impaler, I guess.
Emmett the Impaler. And also, what was that? What did you guys call him when he was a product for $4.99.95 a month or something like that?
I just get yourself an Emmett today. It's such a good commercial.
And then you plant him in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You can bash him around, slap him around. He does not move.
Yep.
Nothing happens.
I tell him every single time I tell him he's grounded. He's so grounded, his feet are stuck in the ground. And you can hit him as many times as you want, and he can't go anywhere. He's just going to take that beating.
Is that the same thing as being based?
Yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point of grounded is you're morally grounded, or your ideas are well grounded, then you're based. Yeah. And that was the start of that joke, is he takes a beating everywhere he goes because generally he has pretty good stances. I get that like people have huge disagreements with his argumentation for the thing, but he's testing people's logic generally. So like he may take an extreme position. The reason he's taking that is to see if, say you're a libertarian, he's taking that position to see if your libertarian stances work within the framework. And generally speaking, the first thing he gets is anger and people making accusations at him rather than trying to argue the points, which is hilarious because he's like, if it is the case that, and then he'll spiel it out, and then they'll attack his character immediately. And it's like, right. Wow. Okay.
Instead of attacking the argument. Yeah, that's the perfect scarecrow for that. JS, I am curious, what was that liquid substance in your very large jar that you were drinking?
Coffee.
I had some of that myself. So it looked kind of like, did you ever see the movie Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard and Jake Gyllenhaal and Paul Dano? It was a movie where Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard's kids were kidnapped. And there's a scene towards the end where Hugh
Jackman and Terrence Howard's kids.
Yeah, I mean they're playing characters, but
are they a gay couple?
No, no, they are two families who are visiting together. They're the fathers, and they're visiting together for Thanksgiving. And then this big van rolls up to their place, and then takes their kids. It's one of the great movies to me.
I think I did see that.
There's a scene towards the end.
The kids out playing in the front yard, and they're all at a house party inside in the van.
Yeah.
I can't remember it, but I did see that.
It's so good. But I bring this up because that drink kind of looks like the drink that Hugh Jackman's character was forced to drink at gunpoint towards the end of the movie when it's getting real towards the climax.
Man, I can't.
Mr. President, do you know this movie? I recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's actually it's got some poignant theological things in it too. But it's just so good. Very intense.
Yeah. And then isn't the guy like drinking and he's watching this like abandoned building and he keeps going into the abandoned building. Look, and then they locked the guy to the sink.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
they got him in that shower enclosure where he's like, "Where are my kids?" And the
they
guy
pour the
doesn't
hot
tell him.
water on him.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Great movie.
Yeah, just some mud water.
It's constantly going on the fritz. It's so silly.
What's going on, the Fritz?
My microphone. It likes to.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Now you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I thought you bought a new mic at some point. He's nodding his head. Yes. Let me see if I can read the president's lips. Oh. He is in and out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
See, Mr. President, do you see JS's microphone here? Do you see my microphone here? This is an investment, sir. You have over 1,000 subscribers, and you get donos. At this point, I'm kind of wondering where all this money's going, Mr. President. What do I pay my taxes for, Mr. President? Just to keep your memorial swept and nice.
New hats.
He's got like a matrix hall full of hats. He just goes into the white room. He's like, I need hats. And all these hats. Yeah. Whoa. Hats.
And they're all the same.
Exactly. They're all the Abe Lincoln stovepipe hats.
It would be nice if it would just work.
It's like when Steve Jobs opens his wardrobe and it's just white button ups and blue jeans.
Yeah. We heard you a bit there, Abe.
Well, I'm using this mic now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably smart. I don't know what else I don't know what else you've been using, but yeah.
Well, generally I have my boom mic, but for some reason it's going through my M game audio interface, and for some reason it just disconnects. And I'll see a little red window pop down that says your microphone has been disconnected from the tab, and it's like, okay, why? And then there's no indication of why it continues to do it, and it'll do it over and over again, off and on. And it does it also when I'm in Discord and other things. So my only guess is that it's the audio interface, and if that's the case, I need to like download Voice Meter Potato and just use the mic as USB and see if that makes the difference, because if it does, then I'll just use it for sound, noise gate and everything, and we'll be good to go. But I need to figure out how to use Voice Meter Potato. So
yeah.
And welcome in, chat. It's good to see you all. Sarcastic Saint, I see you. Tiny Pink Nuggets of Chaos, I see you.
Nice. I haven't seen Sarcastic Saint since Date Wars. That was the last time we were on the same panel, actually.
So he's here off and on. I think he tries to make it for bigger shows, for sure. But yeah, it's good to see you all. We're still waiting on Mo. Mo evidently got the time mixed up, and he is living in the past.
Living in a basement down by the river. Oh.
Basement down by the river.
I had a basement, a houseless basement installed down by the river. It floods very often.
Yeah. A lot of groundwater.
A lot of brown water.
But
downstream.
As soon as Mo can show up, we'll get this kicked off.
Right. So I'm actually looking at the chat between me and him in Discord. And yesterday in the morning, he was like, is it 9 Eastern tomorrow? And then I gave him a screenshot that said me saying 8 to 11 Eastern, 7 to 10 Central, 6 to 9 Mountain, and then you saying okay. And then he gave it a thumbs up. And then we look at his stream, and it's what would be 9 Eastern at that point.
How silly.
Dang.
Ooh, I'm being told no audio on my side. How is that possible?
You have to have your audio turned on at the same time as the audio and mine turned on. They have to both be on. Otherwise, it will mute you out. I did that my first interview with Rob Knorr. I had mine muted and his on, and it ended up for some reason muting me out for the first 15 minutes of the interview, and I didn't even know.
All right, you can hear me.
Yep.
I'm looking at your StreamYard. Abe's stream is fine. JS is fine. Interesting. Hold on. What is it? Now I gotta look. I'm gonna look. I guess I'm glad it happened this way. All right.
Indeed.
So Jack of Blades and Nazgul are telling me that. Okay, so I've got.
If
He made it.
There we are. Okay. Quick troubleshoot here, because as far as I can see, my microphone is on. I am streaming you guys, but how is it possible? What should I be looking for to make sure that the audio is good on my stream and your stream?
you just need to make sure that the audio on mine is on, which it seems to be on, and then wherever, if you're using StreamYard as well, you need to make sure you're not muted on your end and you have the right mic selected on that one as well.
Okay, let me. Yeah, so the right mic is selected.
You using OBS too?
I'm not using OBS. I'm sharing this window into my.
Yeah, you should. I
StreamYard.
should be able to. I can hear you. I don't know if you hear me yet. I think you can hear me.
Could hear you.
Well, here's what's going on. I'm being told that on my stream, I'm not getting audio.
Oh, did I get the time wrong? By the way, I thought it was 9 EST.
Yeah, I remember I screenshotted you. We were just talking about this. It was 8 EST.
Oh, I was referencing the previous message that was 9 EST. So I like
Hold on.
that's when I went and looked at it. But my bad.
Grounded. No, you're grounded just like Emmett.
That's weird.
Grounded, just like Emmett. What did Emmett do? Other than the
Emmett's
obvious?
always grounded.
Oh, true.
All right.
You're
Okay,
right.
well, yeah.
If
we'll
I was
start now.
racist, I'd say that was a black thing. Yeah.
No, Emmett's Mexican. So.
Hey, this is the right panel to discuss that. So
This is okay. This is frustrating. I'm told still no sound. So
is it for, hold on, let me go to your stream real quick and make sure, because it's possible somebody else is having an issue, not you.
well, I'm
Or
getting
your sound
told.
could be low. Hold on.
Can you? Hey, I'm having problems swap. Whenever you have a second, can you like move me to the right so I don't have to mirror my camera? Because like I hit mirror and it does nothing on my side, so I'm not facing
See,
a wall.
I told you you're grounded.
I know.
Is that
Put
better?
me in the corner. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Nobody puts Mo in the corner.
Nobody.
Now you're facing the wall for us.
True.
Now we're both facing each other's respective walls. We're all
Yep.
facing away from each other.
Wait,
True.
really?
House
well,
divided.
On my screen, it's correct. That's
That's
on
weird.
on your YouTube, or on your
My
StreamYard, because your
OBS.
StreamYard or your OBS will show it one way, and then what's showing on the online is going to be something different.
Okay, well, just put me back then. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
Professional production here, guys. We're
Disorientation.
I am so lost as to how
Okay.
microphone and you. Okay, hold on. Am I using two different? No, I'm using the same browser.
Wait, what if I come here?
Okay. Can they hear us on your side? Or
And I can't hear anything on my side, and it's weird because I picked the right microphone. I have the headphones actually run through my microphone.
okay, wait. So
Oh, do I have to be on stage for it to?
yes.
For it,
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what you will do is select the one that is
Oh.
just the media,
okay.
and then put yourself on stage anyway, so you don't have to be separated from it. Yes, you have
There
to
it
be on
is.
stage. Yeah. There you go.
Give me
Yeah.
like a 30-second thing. So I'm going to start my stream and then do my
Fine.
intro and then.
You're fine. And like I told
Okay,
these gentlemen, Mo, we're going to do 5-minute opens one by one. I'll start with JS since he's no. and then I'll go to Mo, and then then I'll go to Rex, and then I'll go to you, so that we get
Yeah.
across the range. And then after that, we'll do some cross examinations, and it'll be 2v1 for each one.
Okay, final question. I'm echoing myself on my side.
You're
Oh wait,
echoing-
or am I? No, now I'm good. No, I am now. I hear it now.
Do you have the tab muted? Or the
YouTube
do you have an
tab.
extra
YouTube.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, there it is. Yep,
Hmm.
it's YouTube tab, and we should be good now. Oh wait, now I hear myself again. My
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead
gosh,
and
I'm still.
start my stream.
I am so sorry, guys.
I'm gonna mute.
I'm gonna have to.
Mute up. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna have to close all these. Oh, yeah, there it is. And cool. Oof. I have like 90 tabs at a time because I'm just a voracious viewer. I got to keep up with all the universes, I guess.
JS, are you arguing with chat?
Yeah.
You're
I
so
got Freddie saying, "What do y'all know about racism?"
that is actually racist.
That
To
is.
say you don't have
white.
Indeed.
you don't have the right blood type to talk about this topic. Let's see.
Okay.
Mo must be talking to his audience.
Whoa now. Whoa now.
Okay, so now they can't hear the other guys on my screen.
What?
They just hear me. So yeah.
That seems really weird. Okay. So wait, you're on stage.
I am on stage.
Are you sharing the sound of the stream? Like you're sharing into a tab, right? When
Yes.
you click the present or invite, when you click the share screen, right, there's a little checkbox in the bottom right corner of that says share sound.
In the corner right. Hold on. I got share screen. Also
Okay.
share tab audio, and that is selected.
Hmm.
Then I go to window. Oh, it makes me select it twice.
Okay. Hopefully that
Okay.
worked for you then.
Gotcha. Okay. Chat on my side. Am I done being a boomer? Can we hear everybody on the stage? JS, say something racist.
Let's hope.
Now you're echoing to me.
Are you in it? Wait, but you're not in a tab.
Is he?
Oh, no, never mind. No, I just opened up Abe's YouTube. That's why that
You
was
guys are all grounded. Everybody's doing it. What is this?
No, it's good. We're good. We're
It's
good.
like boomer hour.
Stream tard.
We hear you all, says Jack of Blades. Thank you, Jack of
Perfect.
Blades, for being
Perfect. Good man,
AV.
Thank you. Thank you.
Round 1. Fight.
All right.
Or
Mo,
something.
are you up and running?
I am good to go, sir. Looking forward to
Wonderful.
it.
All right. So, to the chat, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to be talking about race and racism. Do they exist? We have three debaters, three contestants, so to speak. JS says race doesn't exist and racism doesn't exist. Reexamination show says race doesn't exist, but racism does. And Moerebuttle says racism does exist, and so does race. So, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to JS. He's going to have 5 minutes to give us why he has the stances he does, his opening, and then we'll move through all three of them. I'm going to pull up the timer right now, and I will start it on JS's starting.
And I'm going to do 5 minutes just on race right now, and then 5 minutes on racism later, or both of them right now.
You could just do both of them.
Okay.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. And go.
Okay, so race and racism. First things first, we're going to have to figure out what race means. So I'm going to need a good definition that we can all agree on for what race means. Is it skin color? A lot of people will say race is your skin color, which is determined by pigment and melanin in your skin, which is mainly determined by sunlight and climate. That will influence how much melanin and pigment you have. I don't think that's going to be a good metric. I don't think any of you guys are going to say that it's just skin color. The majority of people nowadays seem to think if you Google race or racism definition, you're going to see power and prejudice. I don't think, we can talk about that if that's for racism, but we still need to figure out what race is. Is it ethnicity? Is it culture? What is it? Because if we say it's ethnicity, well, then we got to figure out, well, what's ethnicity? Even ethnicity is going to be an arbitrary metric. If you say ethnicity is biology and your ancestry, well, what's the arbitrary time frame that we're picking? Because if you go back 50 years, my ethnicity is Floridian. If you go back 400 years, maybe my ethnicity is German. If you go back 1,000 years, maybe my ethnicity is somewhere in Asia. I believe in Adam and Eve, but even if you believe in evolution, there's still going to be an origin of the species. So if we go back far enough and we don't just pick an arbitrary time, if we go back to the beginning, then we're all going to have the same ethnicity. We're all going to have the same heritage, the same lineage. So it can't be ethnicity. Is it culture? If I like hip hop and I like Cadillacs with big rims on them, does that make me part of the black culture or the African American culture? What if you're a Canadian Jamaican? You're not African American, but you're black. How do we decide what these words mean? And we can get pretty deep into that. I don't want to get pedantic about the meaning of existence, but existence is to have actual being, to be real, to be present, to live. Synonyms are like survival, living. We don't have to get, I don't have to get weird about existence, but I could to say that ideas and concepts, social constructs don't actually exist. They're just in our mind. If I believe in ghosts, but ghosts aren't real, does my belief in ghosts exist? Does a belief exist? These are all things we're going to have to figure out. Once we come to some sort of agreement, then I can proceed to break all of these definitions, all these ideas can be broken. I think when most people talk about racism, they're saying when you oppress or demean or discriminate against somebody based off of skin color. I would say that's fake and that's not what's happening. When we're doing what's called a racism, we're actually just being hateful. And I don't think that there should be typologies for hate. I don't think we should have different categories of what hate is. If we call things be not as it were, then we blur the lines and there's no consistent metric for what this thing is. We should just call it hate or stupidity. It's dumb, hateful people doing dumb, hateful things. I'm going to show you examples of things like Daryl Davis infiltrating the KKK by talking to them on the phone, writing letters to them. And when they meet this black man, he makes people leave the KKK because they see that they've never actually met a black man. They had this idea in their head of what black people were. When they meet a good one, they're like, oh, I was totally wrong about the blacks. I'll go through examples of celebrities that say racism doesn't exist. And really, I think this is just a Marxist idea that's used to control people. It controls usually white people through fear because they're afraid of being called racist. It controls usually black people by saying that they're oppressed and that people are all racist towards them. And I don't like these ideas, so I'm going to push back against them. And that's all I got.
Abe, if you said something, nobody heard it.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you, JS, for that. That was your 5 minutes. I love it. That was pretty good. All right. Now we're going to go on to Reexamination show. Give me 1 second to reset that timer, and then we will start it up. On your go.
All right. Tonight, 2 questions are asked. Does race exist, and does racism exist? I deny that race exists. However, I affirm that racism exists. I'm defining race as the perceived lineage which separates people as different ontologically, morally, or hierarchically based on their genetics, their lineage. Anything else people want to call race boils down to skin pigments, phenotype, and some form of homogenized nationality. The idea itself is unhelpful, even conventionally. Its usage of classification is better suited by phenotype and color, but its history and legacy today have moral baggage. Let's start here. If a population of Latinos and a population of Asian subcontinental people, such as from India and Bangladesh, were to intermarry en masse, would they form one new race, or would they all be considered biracial until the end of time? Some people just map race onto phenotype, color, or ethnicity, which is ultimately self-ID, but how does an idea of race have an essence or distinguish anything? Since there are arbitrary line-drawing questions about what race is and how it divides, would it be feasible to say there are no races, just force? Think about it. In Loving versus Virginia case, interracial marriage was forbidden, not based on anything real, but by force guided by an idea of racism. Same is true for those who are considered white. The Irish, Italians, and Jews were not considered white when coming to America. Today, it's totally different. Why? No social pressures. Otherwise, if common convention makes race exist, we would also have to say that rights exist, but my opponents tonight will not sign off on that particular claim. What do we say to those who claim racism doesn't exist? It's been said people hate crime, so they look at statistics and hate black people because they hate crime. But this won't do. Ota Benga was an African pygmy who was kept in the monkey house exhibit in the Bronx Zoo in the early 1900s. Is this because they hated monkeys? No, they were treating him as inferior. Were the Yahtzees depicting Jays as rats because they hate rats? No, it's because they hated Jays. When the past leader of the Toronto Black Lives Matter chapter claims that melanin turns light into knowledge, is that not a claim of superiority by perceived lineage? She said back in 2017, whiteness is not humanness. Quote, I'm going to quote this. Whiteness is not humanness. In fact, white skin is subhuman. All phenotypes exist within the black family, and white people are a genetic defect of blackness. White people have a higher concentration of enzymes that suppress melanin production. They are genetically deficient because melanin is present at the inception of life. Melanin enables black skin to capture light and hold it in its memory mode, which reveals the blackness converts light into knowledge, she claims at one point. Melanin directly communicates with cosmic energy. White people are regressive genetic defects. This is factual, unquote. It doesn't get any clearer than this, folks. Race doesn't exist because every justification for this is unnecessary as a category and is arbitrary, but racism does. And the idea of race motivates the force that keeps this perception going. It's much easier, actually, to prove that the zodiac exists because you actually have measurable times between when people can get born on a date and where the planets are, as opposed to an arbitrary idea that's much easier explained by phenotype, which actually classifies people by a geographic area that have certain features. But race itself, for example, doesn't explain the phenomenon of are they white or are they Jewish? Are they white or are they Irish? What are the Spanish? Are the Spanish European? Does that mean that the Spanish are white? Does that mean that the Greeks are white? Does that mean that, what about the Slavs? Are they white? You know? And then what about divisions within perceived races such as yellow bone or red bone of about who's blacker or who's less black and who's in the in group and who's in the out group? And you'd have to also explain if race does exist, but it's not a commission of some kind of ontological, hierarchical, or moral essentialism of people, then why is racism, the idea of race itself, associated with all these permissions and these claims about people? Why isn't racism just saying, well, people are different then? Why is it an association with hate and division? That's my understanding of it, and I'd like to hear any alternatives.
All right. Thank you for that. Rex. There we go. All right, and Mo, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, on the marks.
Yeah. So as it is becoming tradition with Foursquare, my intros are usually pretty short and to the point. So this one won't be any different. I did notice a few things interesting in their openings. Rex claims that race is not helpful or unnecessary. Helpful and unnecessary. I would disagree, and we can get into why. JS made a point that when someone is doing a racism, that's not what's going on. That's an interesting claim. I'd like to explore that some more. That seems to imply that he has somehow access to other minds. This is going to be interesting to discuss. But just to keep it short, I affirm both race and racism exist. My opponents are in a very strange position tonight. They're going to argue that something people constantly recognize, constantly use, constantly act on somehow doesn't exist. So I'm going to press them on a few things. They need to explain how a category that clearly operates in the real world isn't real. And they need to explain how people can be treated differently based on perceived traits without that behavior actually existing or having a name. If they can't do both, their position collapses. I'm looking forward to showing them how. So let's get into it.
Like you said, short and sweet. That was pretty short and sweet. So, all right, gentlemen. Now that we have those out of the way, we have to move into our second phase. So, I guess let's do just a short spurt here where you three can discuss what you mean by race and what you mean by racism, and then we can do the cross-examinations. Do you want to make and agree on a specific definition?
I'm good with that. I can throw out what I consider race to be.
Yeah, I need that. Well, I'm the negative on both, so I need them to tell me what race and racism. I
so
mean,
it would be.
Well,
I'll just go. Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw this out. So for my working definition, it's a socially recognized classification of people based on perceived immutable physical traits. So things like skin tone, facial structure, hair type. Typically, and this is important, linked to ancestry and historical geographical clustering.
Okay. So ancestry and historical geographic clustering. When are we looking at to determine this, where their ancestry and their historical geographic clustering is?
When exactly?
Yeah, well, like when are we going back to?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a fallacy.
It's a fallacy.
I don't know why. It's a fallacy even asking.
I mean, your argument. You made an argument from
man.
consensus.
You got a fallacy, bro. Your epistemology is.
You had a fallacy in your opening. It was an argument from consensus.
No.
Yeah, just because a lot of people see it and recognize it as real.
I'll explain exactly why it's a fallacy, because you do this with race as well, and it's called the continuum fallacy. JS, tell me, when does a grain of sand become a beach?
No, I'm not making it. I'm going back to the origin.
Yes, you are.
Going back
you're
to
asking.
The beginning.
You're asking where. Just because history changes and shifts and people migrate, it doesn't mean that you can't trace ancestry back to geographical locations. So it would matter. It would depend on which race you're looking at. Now, also, you have to consider that race is an umbrella term, right? Just like white. There's many different people or sub ethnicities inside the white race. African also has the same thing. So its ethnicity is a subset of race.
Okay, but my point is what I said in my opening. You're picking an arbitrary time of when you're deciding on the geographic clustering and the ancestry. I would prescribe that we go back to the origin of species, to the very beginning. And if we go back to the beginning, whether you believe in Adam and Eve or you believe in evolution, whatever, I know we all.
Well, actually, I know we're just doing this. Hey, we're doing like a short spurt here, but I just have an actual. I'd like to get into my actual argument here, if that's fine. I don't know if you want to do that or we don't want to continue this definition game.
Well, I gave my definition in my opening statement. I think. Did anybody remember it? You want me to restate it?
You said lineage.
Go ahead and restate it.
Go ahead. So I'm defining race as the perceived lineage which separates people as different ontologically, morally, or hierarchically.
Perceived,
because if we I believe racism is a belief. Racism corresponds to race. And so I think race is a fictional idea that divides people. And if it's not, then phenotype takes over from there, or color takes over from there. Or any heritable trait. But what I don't see is some emergent property called race that comes from heritable traits, phenotypes, or colors.
So two black people have an albino child. Is it a different race?
No, because I believe in, like you, the human race. That race does not exist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I think just to keep things structured, maybe we tackle race first and then go into racism. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, so
go ahead.
Hold on. So do we want to do the 3 or the 2-to-1 crossover for it, or are we just doing open? Because
I haven't given like my real argument unless to be cross-examined, but we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, Abe, it's your call to
call.
see where you want the 2v1 be pointed, because we're all taking turns on that.
yeah,
Right.
well, let's just do. I guess we could grind the gears a little bit here and just let you guys argue over your positions, and then we can do the verses. That way, people are a little bit more clear on what each other's stances are, I guess, because if you can't agree on the definitions, then you got to fight that out first.
I'm fine with using the both their definitions are basically phenotype and lineage.
Would you both agree with that?
Well, yeah, except Mo does not have any metaphysical component to his definition of race. So that's a big difference, because I'm associating race with racism, and that would have a moral, ontological, or hierarchical claim, whereas his does not. His is descriptive, and I think that the problem with that is if he's not talking about phenotype or color or even like ethnicity, which is still kind of probably the most vague of all, then I don't know what.
My definition has like immutable characteristics in it: skin tone, facial structure, hair.
No, so it's phenotype.
So it sounds like we need to start with race, and it's going to be you, Rex, and JS versus Mo, because you both say
I like it.
It doesn't exist, and Mo says it does. And
Glutton for punishment.
Seems to be your first contention. So let's go ahead and start with that one.
All right, so 10 minutes for the cross-examination?
Yeah, let's do it.
And we're about race. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Let's get to it.
So, Mo, what is the emergent thing between phenotype, color, ethnicity, and all the above that gives us race? What does race actually describe?
As I said, race describes. So when you talk about white, black, those are umbrella terms that would encapsulate different ethnicities across different groups.
What does that do that phenotype does not?
What does what do?
What does the word race do that phenotype does not?
What does race do that phenotype does not? Well, the phenotype is the descriptor that you use to cluster what people consider race.
So phenotype is race?
It is a part of the descriptor of the race that people generally agree on and identify different groups. So example, like if someone said that, hey, Rex, me and you live in a community, right? And then someone came by and said, and let's say it's predominantly a white community, and someone said, hey, a Somali family just moved in next door. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think they look like?
You mean visually? Yeah, they probably have more of a. They're probably thin. They probably have more of a narrow head. They would have black skin. That's what I would come to mind based on that. Who's typically in the nation of Somalia? Yes,
and they don't speak English very good.
And they go to Minnesota.
That could potentially be it. Yeah. That could potentially be it too. So yeah.
Okay.
This is just general descriptors of reality that where people.
And is this
so? Your idea of race is loose then?
No, it's not necessarily loose, because it's kind of like saying, okay, race is a sedan, and then when you talk about ethnicity, then it's a 2021 Honda Accord. Does that make sense?
Sure. I guess. Okay. But again, how is that different than phenotype? Because you said phenotype is part of it, meaning that phenotype in and of itself does not do enough to equate to what race is. So I'm trying to figure out what the other components are that make the emergent property of race that you're describing.
Well, usually it's linked to ancestry, typically by geographical location.
So it's genetic.
Genetics plays a large role, yes.
Didn't you say in your video that race doesn't have to be biological, or did I mishear you?
I don't believe I ever said that. No.
Interesting. I'm gonna want to. I should have got the timestamp for that.
You said immutable characteristics. Immutable meaning they're born with it and it can't be changed.
Yeah, it's things that they're born with that can't be changed. Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, Michael Jackson was born a poor black boy and he died a rich white woman. So, I mean, you could bleach your skin. You could bleach your skin,
and
you could straighten your hair.
Was that so? If I get a boob implant, does that make me a woman, JS?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But
stupid argument.
Oh, hold on, it's not a stupid argument. It's not a stupid argument because no, there's a follow-up question to it.
Go ahead.
So is it self-identified or is it how you outwardly present to people?
Once again, my definition has to do with ancestry, geographical location, and
we can look in somebody's genes and see if they're a male or a woman. We can look at but
yeah, and you can look at their genes and find different things that separate them by race too. Sickle cell, for instance. Yeah, sickle cell is a very common thing amongst the Black community, JS.
Well, but it's not required to have sickle cell, right?
Right. And the majority of time, race is self-identified. So it would be like, you'd give me a form and it would say, what race are you?
What do you mean by self-identified?
Self-identified.
You mean I check a box? Does that make reality, JS?
So what's my race?
If I say I'm a woman on my driver's license, am I a woman?
What's my race?
What's your race? You would be categorized as white. Now, if we want to talk about your ethnicity, then we can talk about, are you German? Are you Italian? We can drill down into it.
I got some news for you. I thought I heard you correctly. At the 4-minute and 35 mark of your video, racism isn't real, a rebuttal, you say you don't even have to claim race is biological. What did you mean by that?
Well, if you play the whole thing, my rebuttal, it says the comment was, you don't even have to claim this to use this argument. So it was saying that I don't even need to rely on that in order to make the argument. Maybe you should watch the whole video.
I did watch the whole video, but I thought there was a strange thing to say. Oh, please expand on that for me, because I think that's useful.
Well, that was a very long time ago, I'll be honest with you, but I do remember that part. I'd have to bring up my syllogism, so if you bear with me, I can, but that might make for a boring stream.
I can, let's see.
I don't know, but you said I'm white. What if my dad's black?
If your dad's black?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once again, this is the continuum fallacy. So just because
the question would be here's what he's getting.
If you have, let's say, I have 10% black in me. So does that make me, what am I? Well, it's like, okay, just because it's like you don't, just because it's a fuzzy,
so you get to decide
category.
So
no, this is reality. If it's a fuzzy, just because something's a fuzzy category does not mean two categories don't exist. A grain of sand and a beach still exist, even though you can't point to exactly when one turns to the other.
So what? Yeah, so are you saying that
the person can tell me what continuum fallacy is, but you made
well, you don't seem to understand it.
You made it appeal to consensus in your opening statement, dude. So we can play the debate bro fallacy game, or
your argument hinges on this, and that's why it's hilarious, because
my argument
this fallacy
hinges
all
on
the time.
You are going to make a bunch of arbitrary claims like lineage and phenotypes and geographical
I did make arbitrary,
based off of an arbitrary place and time. You're not going to go back. I'm going to go to the origins.
Yeah, let me read your argument verbatim. So everybody, and it's your argument. So I'm looking at the screen right now. It says counter argument. Premise 1, many real and useful categories have fuzzy or conventional dependent boundaries. Premise 2, a category's lack of universal boundary does not imply the category is unreal or meaningless. Premise 3, Race can be a fuzzy category while still being socially recognized and used in practice. C, therefore, race has no universal standard, does not logically entail, quote, racism isn't real, or, quote, race isn't real. You don't even have to claim race as biological. This works even if it's social. So is your argument that race is not can be non-biological and still be just as real as if it was biological?
Once again, what I meant by that is you could even make the claim that it's a social construct and still use the argument. That was my claim.
But it's a social construct about physical genetic phenomena.
Yeah. Do you understand that, like, I'm making a main argument, and then I'm saying that, hey, if you want to even, like, take the biological out of it, you can still make it work? Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, but how does that leave race? Is it real with any meaning at the end of it if you make it completely social?
I'm not. You're
right,
attributing that to one comment that I put in there, but an offhand note that, hey guys, if you want to use this argument, you don't necessarily have to use it from a biological stance.
Okay, so let's say I don't use it from a biological stance. What am I talking about? Just people's beliefs?
I'm saying that it's still descriptively true that people will act on perception and what they see.
Right, but how does that begin to be useful then if it's not even having to do with biology or genetics or anything like that? Like, because we say it doesn't have to be biological.
Wait. You're injecting the word useful in this scenario. That syllogism did not imply that, like, necessarily this is something to live by. It's just that this thing exists.
Well, I mean, if a thing exists and I'm trying to think of a term that exists and describes something, but is not useful. You're saying I'm injecting useful, but the whole point of the word is to capture an idea that distinguishes itself from other ideas.
Intrinsic rights. How about that? Intrinsic rights. That's a descriptor, and people use it all the time, but it doesn't, it doesn't necessarily, like, not necessarily reality or useful, right?
So then, if the idea of race is reinforced by social pressures, then it's just as real as rights,
or empathy.
If it has force behind it, then yeah, you can make a lot of things to reality.
So tomorrow, if I grab all of the pew-pews and I say that all the JJs get out of America, then because they're not white, does that become descriptively true after power is applied?
What become descriptively true?
That the Jays are no longer white.
They're not here.
No, that they're no longer
here, or
they're no longer the same race as somebody who shares the same facial structure and skin pigment.
Well, that would be racism. So that would make racism real.
So, but would that make race real where it wasn't before?
It would make race real in the context of they're using a race in order to justify their horrible acts.
But if they didn't think of the idea until later, the race didn't exist until they enforced the idea they had, right? If it was all conceptual.
Well, no, it's a description. It's descriptively true. They're just using it in a untoward way.
Gentlemen,
Okay,
that
well,
is
clock
time.
is out.
Do you feel like you've made any headway?
No, I still don't know what race is.
Beautiful.
We've done our job.
Great. That's good stuff, because it just means that the open part will be more ferocious. Where would we like to go now? Who wants to be in the 1v2 hot seat next?
I'll do it just to rip the Band-Aid off, I guess.
Okay, that's fair with me. So here's the contention. Rex says there's no such thing as race, but there is racism. You two can pick that apart and ask some questions.
Yeah, so here's a question, Rex. Yeah. So you affirm that racism is real, but race is not, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how can something that people do, racism, right, that is the presupposition of that would be their race would have to exist for them to enact these things, right?
No.
They would have to, they're presupposing race. So how can racism exist and race doesn't?
Because race is a claim about ontological, hierarchical, and moral differences that are attributed by lineage to essentialize a person to say,
well, no, that's not the claim. That's not the definition of race. That's not always used.
That's what racism is. So why wouldn't that be? Why wouldn't that?
Racism.
Right. Why wouldn't that go back to race?
But what is it referencing? What is a reference for racism if race doesn't exist?
That's the imagination. So you're using arbitrary things. Yes, you are using arbitrary metrics to make ontological, hierarchical, and moral judgments about a person and their lineage and anybody who you perceive to be in their lineage, so as to demark them as lesser than, or your enemy, or your outgroup, or worse than you on a moral scale.
So even if it's let's say it's racism, right? So let's say these people just have crazy ideas. They're still basing it on something that they're pointing at. What is that thing if it's not real?
Well, let me give you a counterexample. Let's say that there are people who believe reptilians. Well,
I'd like you to answer the question.
I have to illustrate. I want to illustrate this so it's clear.
Can you give me the answer and then qualifier?
Okay, sorry. Give me the question again.
Okay, so if someone's doing a racism, right? What are they referencing if race doesn't exist?
Their perception of physical characteristics and lineage. Can I give my clarifier?
And well,
can I give my
what is that?
Okay, great. I'll give you my clarifier. Let's say there's a group of people who believe reptilians exist. They believe, and then let's say this cult breaks off into 3 branches. The first branch says red-haired people are reptilians. The second branch says blonde-haired people are reptilians. The third branch says brunettes are reptilians. Now, they all are using arbitrary metrics to come to a conclusion about people, about things that aren't real. The thing that they think isn't real, right? Their conclusion is not real, but it's based on real things that they attribute with unreal ideas.
So in this scenario, there's a problem with this example because you can prove that reptilians don't exist. I need you to prove to me race doesn't exist in order to even go with this example.
I would have to know what the delineation of race is, because all we're saying is like, well, race is either biological, in which case I don't know whether I don't know whether biracial exists in any sense, because you'd have to say if biracial exists, then that race is like a solid block that a person is divided. And this goes into like what I call the ice cream fallacy, where if you're white and then you have like 30% blackness in you, you'll become black. And it's arbitrary. Whereas if you have 50% whiteness in you and you're Asian, you're still considered Asian or something.
Why then, in the example when I asked you about the Somalis moving next door, you knew exactly what they would look like, or at least a general idea of what they would look like if race doesn't exist?
Well, because I can use phenotype for that. I don't have to use race. I don't know what race has to do with it.
And that is, but that's what everyone considers race. That's what everyone
not you, because I asked you if it's phenotype race, and you said it's part of it. And so
you're saying the thing doesn't exist, but the belief in the thing exists.
Correct.
Okay.
Like you could I wouldn't say Islam doesn't exist because Allah doesn't exist.
Right.
Hey, JS, this is supposed to be a cross-examination, just so you know. But anyway,
right. Here's the problem. I'm the yes no, and you guys are the no and the yes. So I'm in the awkward position of like having to defend both premises at once.
It's called a steel man moat.
Yeah. So, well, you maybe could ask a question too, but maybe you try asking a question and actually do a cross-examine.
I have questions. And I'm going to critique his opening. He said the Yahtzees were racist because they killed the Jays, or they drew pictures of the Jays as rats. The Yahtzees also killed gays, blacks, people of their own race with different hair colors. So they weren't racist. They were just hateful and evil.
Let's just put that. Let's put all the other things. I'll just grant you all the other things.
The only smart thing Whoopi Goldberg ever said was the Yahtzees weren't racist. They were
that's because she's racist against the Jays. But anyway, the point is, so when you say that they weren't racist, they just made a people into a subhuman group. How do you square that circle?
If I would call it hate, I wouldn't call it racism.
Okay.
You're saying the belief in the thing exists. I'm saying the belief in the thing is faulty. It's not real because it's based off of conditioning. It's social conditioning. It's the environment they grew up in. It's things that they were taught. And usually those things are wrong and they could be convinced out of those things. That's why I brought up Daryl Davis.
Okay, well, all those things can be true, but just because it's hate doesn't mean it's not racism. And there's no reason not to qualify what kind of system we're talking about. Because, for example, if I say, oh, that's not Islam, it's just terrorism, that's just a cope, okay? You have to take it for what it really is, the belief system that's hampering it. You attack it on the belief system level if you want to identify it. Because if you don't attack it on the belief system level, you're neutering the necessary components and weapons to destroy the source of the violence and the discrimination and the hate itself.
No, you're giving power to the enemy by making all these different categories and typologies of hate. And that's why we have things like sexism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, racism.
Well, you're giving power to the enemy by taking away our ability to call it what it is.
No, I'm calling it what it is. You're calling it what it's not.
No, I'm identifying the structure by which they use logic in order to come to racist conclusions. They're saying because of your lineage, you are ontologically inferior, hierarchically inferior, or we're superior or something like that, or morally inferior, and it's immutable. They're saying these metaphysical things are ontologically true of you because of your genetics.
Metaphysical, like... is this transcendental racism?
What it is a statement about different hierarchies in human nature. So obviously it wouldn't be transcendental to humans if you're categorizing other humans as lesser than yourself or yourself greater than others, if you're attributing it to their lineage, which has nothing to do with your moral, ontological, or hierarchical
why? Okay, that you've said that a few times. Why exactly does a descriptor of a race inherently mean that there's hierarchical?
Because that's how racism is used.
No, race, not racism.
Well, racism is the belief in race, so it corresponds to what race is. So if I believe in Islamism, that's dependent upon.
Oh, no. Let's simplify it. I'm a German guy, and there's a sub-Saharan African guy. Those are two like descriptors of a race, or I'm white, I'm black, right? I'm white, someone else is black. In that statement, where's the hierarchy that I'm imposing?
In the description of phenotype, none.
So race exists.
So race is phenotype.
Part of it, yeah. Based on
what's the rest of it?
Characteristics.
What's the rest of it? If it's race is phenotype, then what's the rest of it?
Ancestry.
For the dumb people,
everybody has ancestry.
Ancestry based on clustering.
Just about every ancestry is based on clustering. I mean, the whole point of proximity is you marry who's close to you. So you're going to, on average, look like your community.
Maybe you should go to this fictitious site 23andMe and find out where your ancestry is.
Didn't that get shut down?
I don't know.
But anyway, everybody has an ancestry.
By Mormons.
Everybody has.
The point is they're using the descriptors to show, and that even in that they show geographical clustering to show the race and ethnicity of the people that they get donate. The blood types.
I got one last question before time runs out.
Go ahead, JS.
Yeah.
If I could give you an example of God saying a certain nation of people were despicable and he's going to wipe them off the face of the earth, just a certain group of people, does that make God racist?
No, that's a moral category because that has nothing to do with your genetics. If you could use that as a description of culture. For example, you can read Romans 11 and talk about how the Jews have a partial hardening. But partial hardening, I mean, there's a judgment to that. But that doesn't mean that if you're of a certain bloodline, you're less capable of coming to God or things like that. It just describes what's going on spiritually, but not genetically, which is what we're getting at, is heritable traits from your parents.
Exactly. It's spiritual. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and wickedness in high places.
Right.
That's what racism is. It's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. You have a spiritual issue with a person who looks different than you, talks different than you. And if we keep breaking all these into different categories, we get all these isms that don't exist instead of just calling it what it is, which is hate.
You can't call it is without precision.
It's just dumb. Usually it's just dumb.
You can't call it what it is without precision. So if you use all this censorship on yourself to say, well, I can't nail exactly what this person believes and show why the fallacies are in the guts of their belief system, because then if I do that, I'm giving power. It's like, no, you're taking it away as soon as you nail it. That's time.
And that is time. Man, you guys are trying to be as spicy as possible, it seems.
Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet. Wait when
Uh-oh.
it opens up.
He's bringing up
I've
the
got
nukes.
something.
Oh, that's a local commercial. I can't use that one.
What is happening?
What?
I don't know,
Can you
Abe.
hear me?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. The
Can you hear
timer
us?
stopped, and it's like beeping, but won't stop beeping.
Hmm.
Oh, we don't hear
Maybe
it.
it's your taco that's going off in the background. You forgot in the microwave.
Abe's tacos.
Hold on.
It'd be
Oh,
hilarious
shit.
if you dressed
It's
like that
burning.
and you. It'd be hilarious if you dressed like that and you went in the corner and had Abe's taco stand. Like,
Give me
What are
one
you
second,
doing?
gentlemen. We're
No
going to
problem.
we'll be
switch
right
this
back after this.
to that.
Hey,
I'll
everybody.
be
It's a
right back.
sunny day in California. Steamy 81 degrees outside.
Hey, Days, it's a scummy day in California. Look
It's
at our
a scummy
governor.
day because we're all a bunch of degens, but, you know.
Yeah. The beach is strewn by abandoned RVs.
All right. Sorry about
Oh.
that, gentlemen. That
Hey,
was
JS,
weird.
we're over you.
All right. So, JS is saying that neither exist at all, and he knows best. So, basically, you gentlemen have to argue with JS about why
Yeah.
you could make the claim that neither of them exist in reality.
We only see partial clock, by the way. Oh,
You know
almost
what?
there.
You know what? I'm
I do
working
know
on it.
what. I do know what. That's what I can tell you.
Can you? Can you tell me?
He's making it look nice and fancy. He's getting it.
The fancy clock.
There we go.
Jeez. All right. And go.
All right.
JS, in your opening, you said that when someone does a racism, that's not what they're doing. What do you mean by that, sir?
They're just doing hateful, evil acts.
How do you know this?
Because that's what it is. It's if I whoop somebody's ass
Because
because they're black, and I say I hate black people, and I beat their ass. It's not that's not race. When you think this way,
wow, I
That's
didn't
how
think
you
you'd
get-
fall apart this easy on one question. Go ahead.
that's how you get hate crimes.
Okay, but how do you know, sir?
You believe
How do
in
know
believe in
this
hate
is-
crimes. You believe somebody should get an amplified.
That's not answer the
sentence for a
question.
hate crime?
That's not
Oh,
answer
I'm
the question.
allowed to
How
ask
do
that.
you know?
This is like a cross exam. I'm not allowed
This-
to ask questions. I forgot.
This is well, you didn't answer the question. So how do you know? You didn't
I
answer.
did. I said hate, evil, dumb.
Hate. So if someone is being racist, or they would you say that's a hateful act?
No, I don't think you can be racist.
Okay, but how do you know they're not being racist? Do you have access to other minds?
You're
Is
begging
this
the
what this
question.
is?
You're saying if somebody's being racist, does that mean that they're evil? I'm
Okay,
saying
that's fine. But
they're
how
not
do you
being
know they're
racist.
not being racist? Let's go back to the original question. How do you know they're not being racist?
Because it doesn't exist.
That's not that means nothing. You're just reasserting that it doesn't exist without telling me exactly how you know they're not being racist.
Well, because we already discussed race doesn't exist. It's arbitrary, inconsistent, subjective,
Okay.
usually self-identified.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't-
Hold on.
you're
I
not gonna
can't
answer the
really
question.
tell my race. You can just say I'm white, which is a
JS,
color.
Not gonna answer the question, all right?
JS, I got a question
I did
for you.
answer the question.
When they put
No, you
Otabenga,
didn't.
an African pygmy black man, in the monkey house of the Bronx Zoo in the early 1900s, was that not because of his perceived lineage and the value they gave to him because of it?
No, it's because they were dumb, angry people.
They're dumb, angry people, and so
Yeah.
it's so mind-numbing, dude. So they didn't have any reason based on his looks to put him in the monkey cage that they thought was appropriate.
Could have been. Okay, so it's looksism.
Okay, so he looks like what?
So you're just renaming what racism is?
No, I think that would be stupid too. I'm just showing how nonsensical it is.
Then why did the black ministers in New York come to the zoo and say this is horrible, this is demeaning based on race? You know, their idea of race. Why would they do that? Is it because they were loving people and like the zoo is like run by hateful people, hateful dumb people? Then why? That's ridiculous. So why didn't they get all sorts of humans and put them in all sorts of exhibits that they're just hateful dumb people caging people?
I think they were influenced by worldly ideas that didn't make sense. So like the term racism came from the term racialism, which was coined by William Henry Pratt And I think that's his name, right?
It's a Wikipedia article.
No, Richard Henry Pratt, who said the South having black slaves is racist. That's racialism. But Richard Henry Pratt started the school where they were killing Native American kids.
That's
Based on
supposed to
what?
prove something.
That's
Yeah,
not
what-
racialism, but white people having slaves in the South, that was racialism. So
It
it's
sounds like a big
inconsistent.
non sequitur. I don't know what you're even trying to prove.
So wait, just
I'm trying to
because
prove that the term
two
is
situations in
nonsense, people
history
believe in
don't perfectly fold into each other coherently, that proves it doesn't exist. Is that your stance, really?
Yeah, there's just made up words used to control people.
Okay, so once again, I'm sorry, I feel like this really wasn't answered. How do you know someone's not being racist?
Because it doesn't exist.
That's just reasserting the claim.
No, you're asking. I say racism doesn't exist. How do you know somebody's not being racist? Because it doesn't exist.
How do you know somebody
Your claim-
doesn't hate somebody because of their lineage?
How do I know somebody doesn't hate somebody because of their lineage?
Yes. So if somebody says this guy is black, I'm going to put him in the monkey cage, or I see him as inferior to us, and I think this is appropriate. You don't think that that is based on their lineage, a lineage-based inferiority judgment?
No, they don't know their lineage.
That's not the question. They made an assessment of their lineage, whether they know it or not. That's their impression, and they thought it was appropriate to put this guy in the monkey house in the Bronx Zoo.
Maybe it's because he looked like a monkey.
So attributing it to his physical characteristics.
Yeah.
That's
So-
racism.
That's racism in
racism.
race.
I think it's just dumb.
It is both.
Well, you can think it's dumb. Look, Jace, we can agree that it's dumb, but it
can
doesn't
do
mean it
two
doesn't
things at once.
exist, and that's what they act. Yeah.
I
You
mean,
don't
they're
have,
flat
look, just
earthers.
because you agree that a descriptor claim is true and accurate doesn't mean you agree with how people use it, right? Or all the things in history that are horrible. You don't have to jump on board. It's okay.
Right, flat earthism is dumb, but there are
No,
real flat earthers out
I'm
there.
not gonna go along with the idea
Right.
that this was racism. I'm gonna say it's just dumb people. They thought he looked like a monkey, so they put him in a monkey cage.
Why? Okay, what made them think that it was appropriate if they thought he was human?
Maybe they didn't think he was human. Maybe they thought he was subhuman.
Oh, okay. So they made
Oh.
an ontological, hierarchical claim about him based on his genetic traits.
Yeah, they didn't understand what biology and humans were. They were
Wait. Okay, no. Riddle me this. Why is it that when the black ministers came to the zoo and complained, they didn't throw the black ministers in the monkey cage too?
the black ministers came and complained because they
Yes.
had more power.
So racism is a power construct. Are you a liberal left? Are you a leftist?
I mean,
now?
you guys are the ones who sound like leftists. You talking about racism, defending. the
No, I'm
idea
talking
of
about
racism.
I'm talking about descriptors. But you just admitted that they put him in a cage because he looked like a monkey. Like, how is that not like holy shit, man? Like,
So it's species.
and then when I ask you, like, how can you tell if someone's being racist? All you say is because racism exists. That's reasserting the claim. It's incoherent. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, that's why I think there's a translation thing that needs to happen because if he disagrees with racism exists and you pitch him the word racism, he's just going to reply to that every time. Well, you have to actually break it down by its components and deliver it to him, like I was doing with the and we
Yeah.
kind of got the answer.
yeah, but they don't
Yeah, I
know
think
his lineage.
I'm satisfied with that answer.
They see a person who looks like a monkey, they put him in a monkey cage. 'Cause they didn't put him in a black person. Hold on, they didn't put him in a black person cage. They put him in a monkey cage. So it's speciesism because we
man.
put monkeys.
This is far
Hold on,
better.
hold
This
on.
turned out far better than I thought.
Is it speciesism when we put monkeys in cages?
We're not making racism is entirely to do with humanity. Has nothing
Yes.
to do with
Right,
animals.
I know.
So when you attribute animalness to humans, that is racism because you're making an ontological claim that separates yourself from them.
I'm saying it's not speciesism that we keep monkeys in cages. They didn't put him in the black person cage. They put him in the monkey cage.
So
Well, no. Actually, no. Hold on. You can go with this. No, humans put animals in cages because they view them as inferior.
correct.
Okay, so they're speciesist.
So,
Well,
but hold on.
They still view them as inferior.
So hold up. That's my entire point of race doesn't exist, but racism exists. Because if racism exists, then they're speciesist, and they're misattributing species to a human. That's racism.
Yeah, when I see a pit bull, and I know that pit bulls maul 70% of the children, I cross to the other side of the street because I see a pit bull. Nobody calls me speciesist.
Okay? So the whole thing, we have demeanor.
It's just observations.
The American Kennel Club has demeanor breakdowns based on genetics, and you just made an essentialist claim and tried to map that onto humanity.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you're saying that if you see a particular lineage of people, the lineage alone, not their behavior, but the lineage alone.
You don't see their lineage. You don't know their lineage. You're just guessing.
Then how do you tell when it's a pit bull?
No. Oh, so are we talking about lineage or phenotypes?
You made an analogy, so I'm engaging you on the analogy level. You said
Okay.
crossing the side of the street. I'm assuming that stereotypically you're talking about crossing the side of the street when black people are on the same side of the street.
No, I was talking about a pit bull.
Right. So, okay. So you cross the street when you see a pit bull because why?
Because I know pit bulls do most of the attacks on children and they'll randomly bite you.
And how do you identify it's a pit bull, JS?
By the way it looks.
And do you think that it's genetic, that demeanor?
But I don't actually know it's a pit bull. It could
Do
be
you-
a mix.
Then how do you know when to cross the street?
It looks like a dangerous dog, so I cross to the other side of the street.
How do you know
What
what a
do you
dangerous
think it
dog
looks
looks
like a
like?
pit bull?
But it doesn't mean that I'm speciesist. It's not speciesism.
We're talking about how you identify it right now. That's all.
Even
I'm
if I
talking
said
about.
I hate pit bulls, I'm still not a speciesist.
Gentlemen, that's time. That's time. That,
That was very productive.
I kind of feel like I almost laughed out of my chair on some of those comments. With that being said, I guess we're done with the 10-minute micro segments here. So I suppose you gentlemen could just dig into it and
Yeah, I actually have something for both parties here, and it's going to go in the order. I have two examples, but the first one has to do with race, right? The claim that race isn't. So here's a hypothetical to engage with, gentlemen. Let's say, okay, it's the future, and we decide that the doctors, they need a little help, so they built an AI, and this AI is completely race blind. It doesn't believe race exists. I treat everyone equally. Race does not exist, AI says. So that goes on for a little bit, and patients come in. They come in with severe bone pain, fatigue, swelling, shortness of breath. The AI runs a full scan, low hemoglobin, signs of anemia. The AI says, got it. This matches anemia patterns. I'm going to diagnose iron deficiency. Hands them a supplement, sends them on their way home. Problem is, patients keep coming back. And they come back worse. They come back worse, organ damage, severe chest pains. Some are even having strokes. AI scans again, same answer, anemia detected. Continue treatment. Eventually, all these patients start to die. AI reports, well, no bias detected. I treated them all equally. Patients were treated equally. What's the problem? What they never realized was all these patients had sickle cell. The symptoms overlap with other common things. The pattern tied to ancestry and race, which they screened for, is what would have caught this and saved their lives. So, in this example, gentlemen, I have a question. Should the medical community continue to screen based on race for sickle cell or not?
Well, hold on. What was the test what was the actual test? They gave them what, a cheek swab or what?
Blood test.
Blood test. So sickle cell anemia describes when red blood cells are at only half capacity for oxygen carriage, right?
Well, hold on. You have to specifically test for sickle cell. It doesn't show up on a regular scan.
Okay. So they're not
And
using...
you have to screen for it based on race.
You have to screen for it based on race. Well, so that
Yes.
okay. So how do they screen for it based on race?
If you're black, 1 in 300 something people have, if you get the two traits together, then you get sickle cell. But if you only have the one, then it's fine. But it's more commonly in the black ancestry.
Okay, so but then again, how do you determine? For example, is the rapper Logic black?
Hold on. Wait, we're getting away from the question.
Well,
should the medical community, should the medical community still scan or still basically, treat or look at black people for sickle cell? Should they do that or not? Because that's what the medical community does.
I think doctors should do physicals on all people.
All people. Actually, JS, great. Okay, tell you what, JS, I agree. I'm gonna go along with this. Yeah, we should scan everybody for everything. But in the future, when we have giant tubes where people can walk in and a giant little laser comes through and scans them perfectly and finds every possible fucking thing that could be wrong with them, I agree with you. But that's not how modern medical works. They base their what they treat for on patterns and most likely outcomes. That's how the current medical community operates. So in the future, when everything is this utopia, great, we can go down that. But JS, the question still remains: should they still scan for sickle cell in black community or not?
Yeah, I'm fine with observing.
So
patterns.
race exists. Great.
It doesn't follow.
Can I ask a clarifier though on this? Is it genetic markers that are sought for, or is it specifically color of skin?
It's someone comes in and they're black, and they are then put into the category. Okay, this person potentially needs to be looked at for sickle cell potentially.
Interesting.
That's my understanding.
So it would not show up in the genetics whether or not they would have sickle cell or not. Are you sure about that?
I didn't make that claim. I mean, potentially you could do a genetic scan, but that would still be like, okay, so you're going to genetically scan every human being. Once again, we go back to the utopia future where we have the medical diagnosis to do this, and it catches up, but we don't have that.
Okay. Are other quote unquote, I'll just say lineages. Are other lineages capable of having sickle cell, or is it only people that look black on the outside?
It comes from the area with malaria, and it was a mutation in order to defend against malaria. But it is more commonly in the black community.
Okay, so
there's different parts of Africa that have this as well.
You mean like Northern Africa, where like Algeria and Libya?
So is the claim that race and ethnicity are the same thing then?
Well, no, not the same thing. No, I would say that ethnicity is a subcategory of race when we're talking about descriptors.
Well, also, if you're saying that it has an environmental cause, then that's not necessarily a genetic cause. It's just damage that's carried down throughout time.
I think you both would agree they should still continue to screen the black community for sickle cell, right?
Sure. Yeah, you're going to turn me into a race realist, Mo. I know I read the bell curve, and apparently black people have low IQs. So I guess I should just assume every black person is a dumbass.
What?
Well, that's a bit extreme.
So I would say that phenotype still does a job for this. If
I'm talking about real medical community, the medical reality we live in, and a really real thing that is important when it comes to race by identifying medical treatments.
But as long as phenotype is different than race, I could just use phenotype and get the exact same effect, if not better.
If you could use phenotype instead of race?
If I say phenotype instead of race, I'm actually more accurate.
Phenotype would not account for the area from where they come from.
What do you mean?
For malaria, it matters like ancestry-wise where they come from.
Okay, but then wouldn't it still catch all of it if we use phenotype? Because it would test both the people who do and do not have it. So you just do it across the board for phenotype?
This is once again, you have to understand, my definition comes from for race is statistic clustering, right? Obviously, you're going to have exceptions. You're going to have people who are like in Europe or whatever, and they look completely sub-Saharan African or something, right? The exception does not prove the rule.
So the clustering you're talking about doesn't have. So the clustering you're talking about doesn't even have to be visible. So if you had like a malaria in Greece and half the people from Greece had sickle cell anemia as a result of that, then you would have two different races that are both Greek.
You would scan for both of them, but once again, it would be based on race. It would be now we have two categories. We have two races instead of one race to look at.
Okay, so then sickle cell anemia is enough to designate a race. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm saying that your claim earlier that race is unnecessary and doesn't do anything is proven false by the medical community.
No, what I'm saying is when I asked you a couple times whether race and phenotype were the same thing, you said phenotype was part of it, meaning that it was not doing all of it, meaning that there's more work to be done by other factors.
Because phenotype is when you go into phenotype, you would have statistic clustering of geographical locations.
Okay, so that would include
ethnicity. That's the ethnicity, and then you have the umbrella term of race.
Okay, so then if that's the ethnicity and the clustering describes a part of a certain geographic area, then the race doesn't actually do anything because my Greek analogy would totally work then, because all we're talking about with race then would be like, a place where people look the same outwardly, and then some of the people who look the same outwardly have sickle cell, but not all of them do, because not all of them are going to be exposed to malaria in the same concentration. And
that would still be a true descriptive claim of race. So yeah.
So sickle cell would be enough to designate race, on its own, or no?
I'm using this for multiple reasons. Both of you say race don't exist. And your claim in your opening was that it's useless, but apparently the medical community disagrees with you highly, especially when it comes to bone marrow transplant, by the way. And that is a really big problem. So when it comes to donor, whites have, I think it's upward of 79%, 79% success to get a donor. Blacks are they only have I think it's 29%. So there's a lack of bone marrow for donations for transplants for blacks. So
I can believe in genetic variance and not have to believe in race. I can believe that there is variety in the gene pool without having to believe in race. I can believe in phenotypes without having to believe in race.
What do you mean by race? What is your definition of race? Because it seems I'm saying it's a descriptor claim, and I'm not attributing any hierarchy or anything like that. But this is very important things inside the medical community. So why is that? What is you have? I assume you're going to go to the more, I guess,
metaphysics.
Every person is made in the image of God, so race doesn't exist. Is that kind of the claim? Okay, so look, man, I can agree with that. I can even grant that. And I tell you what, Rex, when God willing, we both end up in heaven, and you're sitting there because you're going before me. And then I show up and you're like, look, Mo,
is that a threat?
Look around. Do you see race? I will gladly concede. But while we're on the mortal plane and while we're in a fallen state, the descriptive claim is true. You might not like it, but it's true.
But the problem is, if you said race was phenotype, it'd be a much harder argument to make, but you claimed multiple times now that phenotype is not race. A phenotype is actually observable, but now we're talking about race in terms of invisible, inheritable traits that may or may not correspond to your phenotype.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear. So when I talk about phenotype, that isn't in my description of race, but it's important that it's the key thing here, typically linked to ancestry and historically geographic clustering. So just because you have, let's say, okay, this guy is black, right? You can look at his lineage and where it comes from, and it would be geographically clustered in a certain area. That's all the descriptive claim is.
Can I jump in here and ask a question though? Because there was a comment made early on from JS, I believe, where he said, what if he has one parent that's black? And that would make him 50-50. But if he appears as white, he may still have the same elevated rates of sickle cell and be passed over because the claim is he's white, regardless of whether or not he has parentage that is not.
But, okay, yeah, even in that case, you're still looking at a medical situation to consider based on race. Just because he's half black and half white.
But if it's not visible, how do you screen for it if it's not visible?
Well, does the exception disprove the rule?
We're talking about lineage, right? And we're talking about what's invisible. We're not. You said you screen for race. So if a guy looks white,
look, this goes back to. I will admit that when it comes to race and even ethnicity, it can be fuzzy lines. And I have another example that we can discuss, but it is fuzzy. But just because it's fuzzy doesn't mean that it's not categorically true. Once again, the grain of sand and a beach analogy.
Right, which was why I think that phenotype is much more useful because it actually describes something that can be objectively observed.
Well, not necessarily,
if
right?
it-
Because here, I'll give you an
What,
example, right? If you have, I'll just make up something, right? Let's say you have a certain ethnicity that is part of like the black race, and they have like a certain facial structure, right? That's different from other facial structures. Like there maybe whatever, right? They have like flatter noses or something like that, right? I don't know. And then you have another guy in the U.S. and he has an accent and gets slapped in the face, and he had a really long nose before. That doesn't prove anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so we consider
do
them
we
both
have-
equally black, right?
Say that again.
You would consider them both equally black, right?
No, because he doesn't link his ancestry to the geographical clustering of the area that would be considered under the umbrella of black.
Wait. So, but he has just as dark skin, right? And he has many of the general same features.
No. I'm saying that feature-wise, phenotype, right? He got slapped in the face, and his phenotype looks different now. That doesn't prove his ancestry.
Well, phenotype is not physiognomy. Phenotype is talking about like
I know,
white,
but phenotype
Asian,
is
Latino.
I know. Phenotype is I get that, but it's still perception. You're perceiving it.
Okay, so isn't medical history a perception as well? Because if I want to say that
No,
somebody has a concentration of fat around their eyes,
no, medical history will be based on your ancestry.
wouldn't
Like
phenotype be
when you're
based
talking
on your
about medical,
ancestry?
to a large degree, yes, it would.
What's the degree that it wouldn't?
Well, I'm not, once again, the Grand Sand Beach. I can't give you
No,
the
no, I
exact
mean,
moment.
like-
it's fuzzy.
But phenotype is 100% genetic. Wouldn't you agree, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so then to what degree were you saying it wasn't?
So the guy getting slapped in the face with a 2x4, and he has a perceived change in his physiology, but it doesn't have anything to do with his ancestry.
But that goes back to JS's Michael Jackson example. It's not talking about phenotype at that point anymore.
You're proving my point here, that it's based on ancestry.
Why do we
and
have
geographic
different
clustering.
phenotypes?
Because of
Why
genetic
do we have
drift,
different- I don't-
geographic distance,
Genetics,
sharing,
yeah.
So you would say
environmental.
it's adaptation. It's we have people like people have squinty eyes if they live in the snow to stop the light blindness from the snow that bounces off their eyes. There were tribes that had curled feet because they would climb trees to get their food. Dark skin color is going to mean that you live near the equator and there's a lot of sunlight. Over time, you could take 5 black couples and you can move them to Antarctica, or you could take 5 white couples and you can move them to Nigeria, and they could have kids within their own family group. Within 10 generations, those kids are going to be a different color. They're going to have different phenotypes. Their kids over generations. I don't know how many generations it takes, but if you had pale white people,
You're proving my point.
and you move them, no. Well, the point is they're still the same. They're still the same lineage, but they have different phenotypes because of where they live. So the geographic clustering. That's why I'm saying that's arbitrary.
But
you're just picking a
you're
random
saying,
point in
no,
time.
no.
to
But
base it
you're
off
saying
of.
in your example, you're saying they're intermingling, and over enough generations, they would look more like the native inhabitants. Correct?
No, they're not intermingling. They're only mating within their group. So that's why I say 5 white couples to avoid incest or something like that. You have 5 pale white couples, man and woman, man and woman, man and woman, and they go to Nigeria and they only breed within their group. Within 10 generations, those kids are going to be much darker than their great grandparents, but they came from the same lineage they came from the same geographic clustering. They came from the same lineage. They moved to a different area. Now they have different phenotypes. Now they're
because of
different race or no?
environmental impacts, right? Like more sun, that sort of thing, right? Is that the idea?
What if? Yeah, my ancestors could be.
Okay.
I would say all of our ancestors were probably olive-colored skin tone from the Mediterranean region.
But that
the Fertile
but
Crescent,
that is
Mesopotamia.
the example you just gave. That's why in my description is statistically clustering, right? You're giving 5 people that doesn't account for the entire race or the entire ethnicity of that group.
It
Say that
does
again?
after dozens and dozens and dozens of generations, right? 5 people, each have
Right.
5 kids. Those have 5, those has
Right.
5. It takes very.
It takes a long
that's what
time.
JS
I don't
scheme
even
is.
I don't even think it would. I think that those kids would, the next generation would be darker, and then the next generation would be darker, and then they would start to, based on access.
All you're
to
proving here is people
food-
can get a tan. If I
Hold
stay
on.
on the sun long enough, I can get a tan.
based on access to food, they're going to get skinnier. And then based off of socioeconomic conditions and education, they're going to get a little dumber.
Well, let me ask you this.
Pretty soon, you have a bunch of white kids that turned into a bunch of Nigerians, but they
Okay.
have
Real quick, Mo, let's say that no matter what, humans never change their phenotype. You always look average, about the same across the world, right? And then the same sickle cell anemia phenomenon is happening under the skin. Would you say there are different races at that point, or no?
Wait, in this hypothetical,
Yes, let's
all
say
races
let's say
look the
that
exact same.
well, what I'm saying is, let's say there's only one phenotype. There's only one physical general appearance. Like they're all Asian or they're all Latino or something like that. And that environmental factors don't change whatsoever.
We all look
worldwide.
like JS, which is
Let's say-
unfortunate. but
Sure.
yeah.
Let's say we all
Got
look
it.
like JS around the world. It's a bunch of JS clones.
Okay.
And then you take the same malaria
Got it.
situation and cluster it at a certain part of wherever, and then you say it's unique to that situation that these JSs have sickle cell anemia. Would that still be race?
That would be ethnicity. But what you're describing here, so in that world, right? In that reality, there wouldn't be a race. Well, I guess you could say there would be one race. It would just be all white, right? But they would still have to screen for it based on ethnicity and geographical clustering, where they come from.
Okay, how would they screen for it for ethnicity if they all look like JS?
Sorry, I meant geographical location. Sorry, I'm gonna clarify.
So geographical location is race,
because that's where the malaria would be.
So
No,
the
you're
sickle
asking me.
cell
No,
is-
you're asking me a very specific question. In this hypothetical, we
Yeah.
all look like JS. We're all white. Malaria still exists, I'm assuming, right? So because we're screening
Yes,
for it.
yeah. Let's just say it's
They-
clustered in the
the
same
medical-
area.
Yeah, the medical community would have to say, okay, then that it would be much harder, because then they would have to say okay, where are you from? Basically, they'd have to find, where does your ancestry come from? Where geographical location do you trace your ancestry from? It would be a much harder thing to screen for.
Mesopotamia.
But you
But
could
it would
do
still-
that. But you could do that in general, right?
In general, how?
Like just ask every patient the same thing.
I mean, don't we collect the information?
Well,
of
that
each
would,
patient
you're
upon-
basically replacing the box of black, white, or Hispanic with where I'm from. So it's
Because
like,
in this
it's-
scenario, that's
like,
the only
we can call
consequential thing for
race-
health.
we can call race a Zockbark. It doesn't change the reality of what it is.
Hold on, gentlemen. If we're being fair, if you go into a doctor's office of any kind and you're actually being seen, you're going to have medical history of family members. You're going to have all of that also put into the system. Regardless of your race, you're going to fill out, health risks from your family members on your parent, is there heart disease in your family? Is there this? Is there this? So that's already going to be in the paperwork when you're being seen. I'm just throw that out there for you, because if you've been to the hospital a few times, you'll realize that you have to fill out that paperwork every single time, regardless of who you are, to be seen. So,
Right. I'm just trying to isolate the idea that if health is consequential based on a certain area from where you are, regardless of what you look like, well, let's maximize the regardless of what you look like, and then see if the same model holds that it's necessary that race exists. It seems
I
like
engage in that, Rex, but I don't really know if that's really analogous, right? Because you're having to change, once again, you're just checking a different box. I could go down. I could even grant it and say, yeah, just check a different box to screen for this thing from this certain area. But the current reality is, in the medical field, they screen based on race, because one race has a higher percentage of it than others.
I agree that they have that on a piece of paper that you can check a box for, and that people might operate off of that sort of idea.
Well,
But
no,
what
they
I'm saying
have
is,
to, or people die.
What I'm saying is that in the same scenario of the same considerations, if you just took that off, then you would use another method. Like if you're saying that that's shorthand for geography, well then it's like, well, if you can't use geography and you would still have the same effect, you would just have it without any phenotypic differences, any appearance differences.
Yeah, you can play with the like different variables of like how this would look in a different hypothetical, but at the end of the day, currently in modern medicine, this is how they screen for this if you're black.
So race wouldn't exist, or race would not exist where the phenotypes were different, but the genetics. Sorry, where the phenotypes were the same, but genetics were different.
Say that one more time.
Race would not exist where the phenotype is all the same, but the genetics are all different. Let's say the genetics are all hidden; they don't manifest in your phenotype whatsoever. Would race still exist?
But there's still phenotypes, right?
Let's set one phenotype all over the world, but different genetics under the skin.
Okay.
Would race exist? Would race exist if there were like huge medical differences?
Well, no. If we all looked like JS, once again, my definition of race is an umbrella term, right? And it encapsulates a bunch of different ethnicities based on geographical clustering. So, in your hypothetical, if everyone looked like JS, well, then no, you wouldn't have a thing called race.
Okay, so the underlying
it's an umbrella term.
Okay, so the underlying medical thing is just circumstantial to where you live. It's not dependent upon how you look.
Wait, say that one more time.
The underlying medical thing is not substantial to where you live or where you were born. It's just substantial to how you look. Or sorry, yeah, it's not.
No, it is substantial. It is substantial to where you're from and where you're born, because malaria and that is in certain areas. So,
but you could be in the same general area and not be within the genetic cluster and still be of the same race, right? Like if you were like across the continent from where malaria was heavy, but you looked the same because you had genetics that were like adjacent, so you were generally considered socially black, you would still be the same race in your paradigm, even though you wouldn't have that same malaria deviation from generations past.
Yeah, it would be where you, like where your ancestors, once again, where your ancestors comes from, like for malaria, like that's the thing you have to test for in your hypothetical where everyone looks the same.
Right. Which is why I brought that up, because if everybody looked like JS, then
it would be a dark world. It'd be so sad. I don't know. Like I would just
be a pretty bright world if you're talking about photons bouncing off people's faces. But if we're saying that,
and the ladies, what about the ladies? They're all going to look like me too.
The ladies are all going to look
that's
like
why
you.
I said it'd be horrifying.
Terrible world.
Horrifying. Just why even go on? Honestly,
I'm looking into sickle cell. It says it can affect anyone. It's most common in people with ancestors from Africa, the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and India.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much everywhere except for what Western countries. Could that have something to do with, I don't know, medicine and advancements that we've made over time? Why don't European, American, Australian people get?
But it's higher in the black community.
So can we, if we treat it, can we treat it out of somebody?
Can we treat it out? Well, it's a genetic mutation.
You're stuck.
You would have to engage in very dark things to try to weed it out of the gene pool.
You'd have to give
very experimental.
So unless you want to go down that route, and then you could say, yes, racism doesn't exist because I've
you just don't let
we've gotten rid of all of them.
You don't let two carriers have sex with each other.
But okay, so this becomes a broader question, I think, gentlemen, because if it is the case, like Mo was saying, that it's black communities that most prevalently show sickle cell, but we see more and more intermingling of different bloodlines from all the different areas of the world, there's going to come a time where there's not enough differentiation to tell that, and at which point, how would you differentiate then? You couldn't say because these people seem to have sickle cell, they must be of that persuasion. At that point, it could be anybody could have sickle cell then. Right?
Yeah,
You could have stark white folks having it. You could have Hispanic looking folks having it. Because if there's 1,000 generations of people making children, then they could have any appearance at that point.
I just don't see it as a winning strategy not to ask the questions about, that could rule out sickle cell anemia if you're having these sorts of things. I just don't. I mean, I understand statistically because the phenotype is used as a proxy for different kind of inherited traits, but everybody has inherited traits. Everybody has unique inherited traits too.
And regardless, so you're saying when a doctor...
here's the other thing though, like the probability of finding, I mentioned this earlier, the probability of finding a compatible bone marrow donor from a registry, for whites it's 79%, for blacks it's 29%. So this is a very real thing in the medical community.
Yeah, but that's just heritable traits, but that doesn't necessarily mean race because, like you said, phenotype's only a part of it, and it's more. Didn't you say it's more perception?
The point is the medical community depends on race to deal with these things.
So
if a patient comes in and needs bone marrow and they're black and they just say, well, race doesn't exist, and they pull some bone marrow from a white patient, that's going to have dire fucking outcomes.
I could just say phenotype for all that.
That depends on the genes again.
Right. And also, so you're saying racism, there's positive racism. Because when the doctor sees, most people would say like racism is discrimination.
No. Racism is a separate thing we haven't really got into. We're just talking about race right now, descriptor of
right,
geographical clustering of ancestry and phenotypes.
But I'm saying if the doctor treats the black patient differently than the white patient, that's racism.
If it's based on how they look, then yes.
Like if a doctor treats a man different than he treats a woman, that's sexism.
Well, it depends what you mean by different.
What do you mean by different?
Yeah. There's no OBGYN, then yeah. We treat it differently.
What if
I'm being told to get out?
What if I give $1 to every black person I see? That's racist, right? Is that racist?
I mean, that's racist against all the other races. Sure.
If you are saying if you have a
I want $1.
If you have a motive structure to say that because of this line of reasoning, I'm going to give every black person $1. Then if that is the only factor, you're making a judgment call based on their perceived lineage, then that would be racism. Yes.
Okay.
So this is before we like run out this, and this is interesting because this next example I'm going to use here really only is for JS. So I guess Rex, you can just join in if you want. I don't think it's going to match
downtown.
the. I don't know if it's going to match the hilariousness we got from the guy at the cage that looked like a monkey. But I'll try. This is a historical event.
They put him in the monkey cage. They didn't put him in the black person cage.
I'm worried. I want to know what JS what he thinks about this. So rewind the clock, right? I think it was in 94. Rwanda, JS. Okay, in Rwanda, people live side by side, same language, same neighborhoods, intermarried. Then a system came in. This system came in before 1994. 1994 is when the thing that happens next happens, but this happened like long ago during the colonization. But a system came in and said, you are Hutu. And then they gave another description of other people, you are Tutsi. The Hutus, just for phenotype, Hutus were usually like shorter, stockier. Tutsis were a little long, lankier, taller people. Then they handed out ID cards. And they locked people into categories and said they're different races. Over time, these categories became something deeper, not just groups, but what they were at birth. Then propaganda started. They're not like you. They're the enemy. They're less than human. A lot of propaganda around that even because it started to blame the Tutsis for all their problems. They even referred to them as cockroaches. One day violence breaks out. This is the 94 incident. And now your neighbor, the guy you grew up with, isn't your neighbor anymore. He's something else, and people start getting killed. And for that, they labeled them, and in about 100 days, 800,000 people are dead. Same land, same people. The only difference, a category based on phenotypes and race description. Is that racism, JS?
No, I think it's a spiritual issue as a result of the fall. The same reason that when we are all at the Tower of Babel and we got divided into nations and languages, I see people, nations, tribes, languages, but we all come from the same origins. So
But in this situation
stuff,
specifically, do you
I
think
know.
they did it on over race? Do you think that's why they did it?
No, I don't think it's racism. I think it's worldly hatred that is taught to us and instilled in us
Based
from
on what?
birth.
The problem is that's not a negation of racism to say that it was based on hatred. You need to negate racism.
Do we do closings? Because I want to kind of save something for a closing, but I'll say it now if we don't do closings.
Are you doing a Sakar? You have your best argument for your closings? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm not going to make an argument. I'm just going to.
We can do closings after this.
Okay.
There's 28 minutes left on the clock.
All right.
Is it your contention, JS? I'm just going to throw this out there. Is it your contention then that because this is just hate, it's more like otherism?
Yeah, it's preferences. It's observations, pattern recognition, and preferences that we have. And it's my real contention is just the language that we're using.
This wasn't tribalism. This wasn't like tribalism in this case. This was immutable traits at birth that they used to categorize these people.
Well, it's like the Shiites and the Sufi Muslims. They come from the same region. They have the same origins,
But
the same lineage.
Once again, how do you know this incident was not based on racism?
If racism is real, then that would qualify as racism.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at it from your perspective, then yeah, it is racism. But I'm saying it's not about your genes. It's not about your parents or where you come from. It's things that are taught to us that we learn. Like,
but what is the referent they're using to do the teaching?
Hate.
No.
Hate for
they
another
have to
person.
Point to something. Can you point and touch hate?
How come? Let's say
Can you point and touch hate? Can you point at hate? Is hate in the room with you right now? Can you point at it?
No.
Okay, so then they have to point at something. They have to use a referent of what they're claiming for what they're claiming. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and
what is that?
That's what you call racism.
That's what I call racism, but it seems like you're working awful hard not to say immutable characteristics or race.
It's not with. They're not immutable characteristics if we can change them.
Tall and short. The Hutus were short, stocky. The Tutsis were tall.
Yeah, if I hate,
how am I going to change? I'm going to cut my legs off if I want to be shorter. What am I going to do? Take your time, think about it.
If I hate fat people, nobody calls that weightism.
That's a mutable characteristic. There's no fat race. Yes. There's no fat race.
Yeah. Don't lie to yourself, JS. No matter what you tell yourself, there's no fat race. Okay.
Right. So. You can change being fat. Just like you could bleach your skin and change your skin color. Just like you could get nose surgery and change your nose. Just like you could shave your head and wear a wig to change your hairstyle.
But that's like Lamarckism. Lamarckism was the idea that physical changes can change like your fundament, like what you pass on to your offspring. And the thing is, you can again, if you took a blood test of me, you could tell that I was male. And then if I went through some kind of trans madness, even if they tried their hardest, then it would not work. But if they tried their hardest to make me into a woman, you would still do the same blood test. I would still have XY chromosomes.
Okay. And so if I would
still, in fact, be male.
And there's ways to test your DNA to see what your phenotypes are or your genes? I
would say that I don't know enough.
I'm asking.
I don't know enough to make that claim. I have faith that that's probably what it is. But I don't know for certain. I don't know for certain if you can take somebody's spit or blood and tell what exactly their skin pigmentation is or what their nose or eye structure is.
Because I know a lot about Ancestry and 23andMe and the origins of all that. I know it's pretty much it's very similar to it's just good record keeping. It's the same as when you take a core sample, you can send it to 6 different places. They're going to ask you, where did the core sample come from, to figure out the age of the sediment layers and the DNA and ancestry testing is very similar. You're going to say, they're going to ask you, who are your parents? Who are your grandparents? Where do you live? Where did they come from? And then they have records. They're stockpiling records in a vault in Utah. And then they do good record keeping to trace it back to figure out where you come from. But once you get to a certain point, they're just doing guesswork. You could send it to 23andMe and Ancestry and get 2 different results.
They also have genetic haplogroups and stuff where there's trace marks that show you which line and things like that. But that would be a really big deep dive to get into that. But
yeah.
Yeah, but all the same, you asked about men and women and whether we could figure out whether or not, or like my example. My example man or woman. My example was, you're not changing your phenotype actually just because you change your physiology or physiognomy or anything like that. That's all superficial stuff. But that doesn't
example with that actually, just real quick, like. Yeah, JS, like, okay, so you get with a chick and she's completely changed her phenotype by all kind of like surgery and shit, right? And then they have a kid and that kid is butt ass ugly. That's the
Wait, she changed her phenotype through surgery?
Wait, is she from the ugly race? What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's like super ugly, right? Or whatever. She has like characteristics and she changes it, when a kid comes out, it's ugly. That's genetics.
Goes the other
Point is
way,
genetics,
right?
Okay?
Rather than somebody going from black to white, it usually goes the other way. So like
if Michael Jackson had a kid while he looked like a white female, as you said, it would come out as like, black baby. If he
like
had
Mariah Carey,
okay with that.
You see Mariah Carey nowadays, you might think she's black, but she didn't used to
Mariah
be black.
Carey?
Yeah. There's a lot of women
should be white. You think she'd be white? That's what you're saying, right?
No, if you saw Mariah Carey now, you might think she's black, but she's actually white. So there's a lot of it's a popular thing now for women to like blackify themselves.
Wait. Mariah Carey, hold on.
Oh yeah,
the wrong lady.
That's my girl.
I thought your girl was Savannah Hernandez based on your last couple videos.
That's my girl too.
You have a lot of girls.
Yeah, he has a lot of. Oh, Mariah Carey. Okay, I was thinking about somebody different. Never mind.
JS is not grounded.
But if Nick and Mariah Carey, if you see Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey standing next to you, you probably think that's a black couple. But then they have a kid. Now it's gonna be a half white, half black kid, and it's gonna come out looking. I don't know, in the middle.
Mo, if you were a doctor, at what percentage? Let's say you got a guy who's like 75% white, quarter black Garrett, and then would you test him for sickle cell, or would you wait until his lineage became more white to stop testing him? Or would you have the one drop rule?
No, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the percentage and how they do it. I just know that they screen based on race. So I don't know the percentage, right? I don't know like how they deal with that. Now, like if okay, I don't know for certain, but if I'm going to pretend for a moment, right? Okay, I'm a doctor and I know they're the quarter black Garrett, and he's like got the symptoms of sickle cell. Then yeah, I'll test him for it. Like even if it's one symptom.
Even if it's one symptom, you would test them for it based on his genetic.
But that's me. But I don't know, right?
Are they doing that based on appearance or based on self-report?
Well, we already said that when they come in and they like fill out their chart, they self-report as like black, white, or whatever, right? But here's the thing: if you're a good doctor and you are in there and you have a guy, let's say he's black, and he checked the white box, and he's having sickle cell symptoms, you'd be a piece of shit not to screen for it. I mean, would you agree? Like, it would be like, this guy's fucking delusional.
Yes, but that's also an obvious incongruence in the way that they've answered on the thing, right?
Right.
But what would be more likely is somebody marked black, but they look white. In which case, you'd have to make a judgment call and go, they look white, but they could have black in their bloodline.
No, I think in that case, if they look if they look if they check black and they look white, and then they come in and it's like, okay, well, you're just paying me extra to screen you. Like, okay, here you go. Let's screen them. Good to be safe. Like, that's on them.
Same thing with bone marrow. If you have like Logic, who is half black, half white, then which bone marrow do you give them? Black?
I'm not like I'll be honest. I only know that the availability of the bone marrow is a discrepancy between white and black, and you have to get the right. You have to be careful, who you give which one to. I'm not familiar with how they handle like this, the ins and outs of bone marrow. I'll admit that right now.
These poor orphans are never going to know what race they are.
Oh, if they listen to you, yeah, they won't.
The kids who get abandoned by their parents at birth, and then they grow up in an orphanage, they got found in a dumpster. They're never going to know what race they are. They're not going to know their lineage and their geographic clustering.
They grow up, and if they look white, they'll say they're white. They look black when they go to the doctor. They'll check the black box. Like, I don't see how this is complicated.
Yeah, it's funny how race, we just call it a color, and that's what it is. You're white.
Look.
I said, what's my race? You said I'm white.
This is reality, and this is descriptors we use. Do I think if I could make it different somehow? That doesn't mean I like it or I think it's great. I'm not claiming that. I'm not saying it's morally correct. I'm just saying this is descriptors in reality we live in. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't the Portuguese considered Latino? Even though they're genetically like right up in there, up in Spain. And
well, there's and
then the mixture, and then you go to Mexico. It's a mixture of Spanish heritage, Portuguese heritage. You're Latino if you're Brazil, even if you're part native, part Portuguese. Yeah. You're Latino if you are Mexican. You're part Spanish, part Mayan, but you're not Latino if you're straight up Portuguese.
Well, that's what's funny is like
or
about
Hispanic.
This is like just looking at the culture, right? There's like once again under the umbrella term of white, there's a bunch of different like sub ethnicities that are arguing whether they're part of that umbrella or not, right? So that it's like this ongoing thing,
right? That's what I'm saying. So when the Jays and the Irish and the Italians were considered not white, were they right or were they wrong?
Well, that would be a moral value judgment claim, and that's not what I'm making.
Really?
Claim.
So that okay. So
what you said, whether right or wrong, that would imply a moral value judgment claim.
So what about descriptor claim? If they said they're not white, would that also apply to it being a descriptor claim?
Give me the scenario again.
No Jays, no Irish, no Italians. They're not white.
They're not white.
Are they right or wrong as a descriptor claim alone?
Under the right a descriptor claim alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time they were. Well, let me think about it a second. I guess in that time in period in history, they were making that claim, and that was their descriptor claim at the time that I guess the collective believed in, right? So, and that's what they kind of enforced. I guess I don't even know. At that time, did the Irish consider themselves white? That'd be an interesting question.
I don't know what they considered themselves, but they came to America expecting not to be seen with no Irish need apply signs, and you know what happened is they got no Irish need apply signs. So whether or not they were perceived, I'm asking you,
Italian.
I'm asking you, is it descriptively?
But that would be race. That would be descriptively that would be racism.
It's not nationality.
No. Were they descriptively correct though? Was what I'm saying for the Jays, for the Irish, for the Italians? Was it descriptively correct that they weren't white?
According to what I think, no. I think
now we're talking about nationality.
Well,
but I'm not like claiming some moral ought here or anything. I'm just saying.
I know you're not.
Claims, but
I know you're not.
Okay.
So why is
so
it
they were wrong
that we are interposing race and ethnicity? Because it seems that, like, especially with what the claim you've made about sickle cell, yes, it is the case that it shows prevalently in the Black community, but generally it's only African Black communities, because there is enough genetic diversity between traditionally African Black folks and those who may have lived in other places for many generations.
Well, it depends on the region, right? Because malaria is not in all the parts of Africa. There's different parts of Africa that has it more prevalent than others.
What does Hispanic mean?
But here, but I want to.
Well, because some people say Hispanic. Some people say.
Ask Emmett what, and when you ask him, say what is Latinx. Definitely make sure you use that specifically.
Anyway,
Latinx.
Hey, you had a point.
Some people say Hispanic means people of Latin American descent, but the word Hispanic means people of or relating to Spain. So Spain
Latino is
a
combo. Latino is a combo of native, Central and South American, and Hispanic or Portuguese if you're Brazilian. That's Latino somehow, but it's not Hispanic to be Portuguese, even though they are genetically.
But we just call them all brown.
Well, actually, Spanish used to be white in like the 1600s and on back, but they like. Do you consider the Spaniards to be white, Mo?
You're looking at one.
Are you white?
You're Hispanic. Your race is Hispanic.
I consider myself white. No, I'm Spaniard. Like I have like I forget the percentage, but it's like it's Irish, a little bit of Spaniard, and Scandinavian. So.
Okay, so but generally, would you consider the Spanish people to be white?
You know, conquistador shit. Go and take care of the Aztecs.
Would you consider the Spaniards overall to be white people?
I guess I would consider them in the umbrella term of probably white. I guess I would consider them that, but I don't know.
Even though they're typically darker and definitely distinct from, say, the Nordic, the Germanic, the English.
because once again, and that's why it's statistical clustering and geographical is important in my definition, because. Yeah, just because someone has like if you JS example, a group goes somewhere and they get a tan, right? That doesn't change their
your phenotypes could be
genetics.
Black, brown, or white. You could be from Latin America or Spain, and you would always be Hispanic. Hispanic is a race. So let me read you something I wrote.
I thought race doesn't exist, JS.
let me read you something I wrote. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management's Guide to Personnel Data Standards on Ethnicity and Race Identification has the following options for how you identify as your race: Hispanic or Latino, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
And white. So Asian, you could be a white Russian, but you're actually Asian. You could be a black Latin American person, but your race would be Hispanic. Or would your race be black? Which would it be? This is why it's arbitrary and inconsistent. And it's
do you think when they type Asian, they're thinking Russian? JS. Do you think that's what they think when they check that box? Do you think they're thinking that they're Russian?
Well, what they're thinking is a construct.
I don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know what they're going to answer. And
you don't know they're thinking really.
The majority of the time,
you don't know what they're thinking. JS,
hold on.
You don't think that?
Hold on. We'll take that one step further. What about India? India is Asia, and most people don't automatically think Asian when they think Indian,
and they don't say Indian's a race,
right?
Because there's Bangladeshi, there's Sri Lankan. We don't have a name for the people who live in the at least not that I've heard, at least not on any medical records I've ever seen of the South. Right. Well, the Southeast Asia would be China. Southern Asia would be the subcontinent, but we don't have subcontinental on that form.
That form states that white includes Middle Eastern or North African descent
because they're Caucasian.
So an Iraqi Muslim or an Egyptian would be white.
I don't know why the Spanish wouldn't be North African, because they were part of that major Islamic conquest that came through North Africa. So, and that was for hundreds of years that Cordoba was taken over, and places like that in Spain where they were part of the conquest. So I don't know how they're white after all that. Like, especially, I don't know, again, just based on how many wars have happened in Europe, based on lineage, obviously. When we say that's an umbrella term, it's like, whose umbrella term are we using? Whose perception of what the umbrella is the actual standard, or is it or does it change from person to person?
Once again, just because these things are fuzzy does not mean they have it's categories that are real and we use, right? Again,
so European doesn't
I
necessarily
agree with you.
mean
It's
white.
fuzzy.
But that is my point, is that it's not just fuzzy, it's arbitrary, it's self-identified, or
Well,
it's
no, it's not
identified by
arbitrary.
other people.
I would say sickle cell is not arbitrary.
If I have a black dad and a
but
white
sickle
mom,
cell is
and
not
I
blackness.
identify as black, but you identify
No,
me
the
as white,
entailment of
it's very
it being
similar.
arbitrary means that they wouldn't check for that, and that doesn't mean anything.
But sickle cell isn't blackness, you would agree, right? Sickle cell is not a consequence of having black skin, nor is not being black a preventative for having sickle cell.
Sickle cell is a consequence of ancestry from a certain geographical location.
Not always, though, right? It's possible to take malaria and introduce it to a place so as to have the effect elsewhere.
Well, hypothetically, yeah, but that's not the reality we live in.
I agree that the circumstances are different, but it would not necessitate purely from genetics. It would be genetics would be affected by something. So, for example, if I live near Chernobyl and all of my kids have flippers, that wouldn't be a race.
Or they look like JS, then you're like, wow, something's going wrong, horribly wrong here.
I live at Chernobyl. They all look like JS with flippers.
They
But
all
you know
look
what
JS,
I'm getting at. But you know what I'm getting at.
Me on Chernobyl. That's a debate for another day. There's dogs living there, and they're doing just fine.
So
They're cooking breakfast.
Next on JS, radiation doesn't exist.
Well,
radiationism does.
He doesn't believe in nukes. So Mo, you're saying that part of the issue is they're claiming that there isn't a defined set because it's fuzzy between the two. But what if that fuzz is massive? Like you used the analogy of a grain of sand versus a beach. Well, there's a grain of sand, and then there's a litter box, and then there's a sand box, and then there's a whole beach, and so there's all these variants in between. So
right.
Yes, it could be fuzzy, but that fuzz could be a multitude of things that have labels, and that fuzz actually is distinctive. So it's not just two categories; it's now 20 or 40 or 80
and
or 1,000.
This might help too. There's two
right,
elements.
But at the end of the day, you still have the category of black and white.
Well,
that's
here's
the point of the fallacy.
Here's the difference, though. With the beach, you have a large amount of sand plus a body of water, right? Those are the two necessary elements to the beach, and But your analogy is a question of when in quantity, as opposed to a category within a spectrum. And the problem is we don't know what's drawing the lines of the categories within that spectrum. But we know what makes the beach, even though we don't know have a number.
Statistical
that's a question of when.
In regard to race, it would be statistically clustering.
Who decides which clusters
based on geographical location?
Who decides which statistical clusters are significant enough to define a race?
It would, once again, statistical clustering based on geographical location.
Who decides that the statistical clustering is significant enough to designate when a race has been achieved or whatever, or designated?
Well, you in the example of Somalis, you knew in your head exactly what they would more likely look like based on statistical probability.
And I could just say phenotype for that if I wanted to. And like you said, phenotype is only part of race, but isn't the same as race.
When I asked you the question, you knew exactly in your mind exactly what they probably looked like.
Yeah, because I'm honest about that. But that doesn't mean race exists.
Yeah, you're actually the one making the continuum fallacy, because you're saying that You're saying that you know when the grains of sand...
go read what the continuum fallacy is.
I know what it is.
Holy
I know what it is. You're saying that you know when the grains of sand became the pile of sand. I'm saying we don't know.
I'm not saying that. No. When did I ever claim to know? You're the one asking
because
when does it exactly happen? And I'm saying that's a fallacy. No, and you engage it all the time. You don't even realize it. And you proving this right now by giving it back to me in the wrong format. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
No, you're so smug, and you just want to say something's a fallacy. You're making an appeal to consensus fallacy, because you're saying just because everybody agrees At this time period, you came from Africa, therefore you're black. I'm saying, no, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to go back to the rock that broke down into the sand and became the pile of sand. That rock is the same rock.
Right. And my typical expectation of what a person's going to look like in a given area does not prove that race exists. It just proves that statistics exist, which is not the same as race. Because statistically, you can look at crime and say, well, this particular group finds a descriptor of what the most crime in a given crime unit or whatever. But that doesn't tell me what race is or that race exists.
It's not a consensus fallacy. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out to like a distribution I can't talk tonight, it's getting late. Distribution, thank you, of a population, not a belief about like a claim. I'm at the end of my wine bottle or wine cup here, so.
But even then, that still comes down to
it's descriptive.
Perceptive. Yeah.
Who describes
subjective?
But who determines which descriptive features are significant enough to designate when a race is and isn't?
All of this would be perceptive based on history and how people perceive others. Of course, you're going to perceive them a certain way based on their phenotype, and it's like, oh, where do you come from? Oh, you come from this land. And then they start drawing the borders and mapping it out and saying, okay, this is where you're from. Hey, the people from this area tend to look like this.
Right, but that's just circumstantial based on genetics of parents. That doesn't mean that there's such a thing as race that phenotype doesn't already cover.
It's not necessarily parents, because you could have one parent somewhere, have a parent with someone else. I'm saying statistically clustering from a geographical location based on ancestry.
Explain that without the parents thing, because I don't understand what you're getting at.
Well, you say it's on. I'm saying you say it's on parents or something, right? Like that's you could have a parent that he's from one area, and then another parent's from a way across the world from somewhere else. They're going to have a very different genetic makeup. Of their kids are going to have a very different genetic makeup, but they're going to have genetic makeups from the two different areas.
What's the Appalachian fallacy?
I don't know.
No idea, actually.
My chat's making fun of Mo because they're just throwing out all
if
these
you're
random
from
fallacies.
Appalachia, you're a fallacy.
The phallus fallacy.
I've only appealed to one fallacy, which is the very what JS does constantly, and he does it all the time.
You're not using the genetic fallacy, though?
I'm not using the genetic fallacy. I'm not using whatever fallacy. I don't know. Like, no, I'm not appealing to any other fallacies other than the one that JS is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, I would say, fallacy. I don't know what might be a fallacy, but apparently, according to JS, he can peer in. He has access to other people's minds to know if they're actually racist or not, which is a freaking bold. That's a crazy bold claim.
Well, he doesn't believe racism exists, so he couldn't claim to have that, though.
Yeah, I know. He's begging the question again.
No,
fallacy.
He's saying that racism doesn't exist. I'm not begging the question. That wasn't a question, it was a statement.
Well, here's the thing. What Mo is getting at, JS, is that in order to make your claim that racism doesn't exist, you would have to know what everybody's thinking at all times in order to establish that claim. So that's what he's getting at.
You think begging the question means you asked a question?
No.
Begging the question is assuming the conclusion in your premise.
Assuming a conclusion in the premise, yes.
Yeah, so when you say, I know people are racist, I'm saying, what is racism? I don't even believe in racism.
Here's how you know. You see what they do, and you hear what they say, and you hear their reasonings for it. So when people say, if the Yahtzees say the Jays are rats, and they compare them to an infestation, they are making a racist statement because they are tying their perceived lineage to an ontological, hierarchical, or moral difference based on that.
There's a moral difference in somebody based off of
their perceived lineage.
Right.
That's what racism is.
That's what people called it.
Okay.
I need at least one for the night.
Well,
with that, there's like 12 seconds left. So if we wanted to, we could go into some closes if you gentlemen want to, and then we can
Yeah, I think
people come up
we've
and
established that
interrogate
JS
you.
is wrong, and Rex is only half wrong. But maybe he's coming onto my side. I don't know.
Oh my. All right. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys do your closing. So we started with JS. Should we do it in the reverse order or let JS have the last word? And
well, he has like some super cool like
Yeah,
killer point apparently.
know.
So maybe
The
we should
finishing move.
yeah, exactly.
let him.
Mhm.
He can have the last. I don't care.
Okay.
Doesn't
So
matter
we'll
to me.
start with Mo and end with JS on closings. And you want to stick to the same 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Okay. Well, so chat. Notice what my opponents had to do this entire debate. They had to. They didn't show that race or racism doesn't exist. They just hid behind vague definitions and tried to blur the obvious reality. But reality doesn't disappear because it's messy or fuzzy. We walk through a simple example: a race-blind medical system with AI ignores ancestry patterns, treats everyone equally. People suffer for it, not because the data isn't there, but because you choose to ignore the pattern. We looked at Rwanda, people living side by side, same language, same communities, until they were divided into fixed identities and targeted for what they were, not what they did. So don't tell me race and racism don't exist. One example shows what happens when you pretend race isn't real. The other shows what happens when people act on it. So let's simplify this. If you ignore race, if ignoring race leads to real-world harm, it's real. If acting on perceived race leads to real-world violence, that's racism. So, chat, I'll leave you and them with this. Are you denying the outcomes, or are you just refusing to name what causes them? Because, gentlemen, either way, you're not arguing with me. You're really just arguing with reality. That's my time.
Short and to the point. All right. So I'll reset this. And when you are ready, Rex, you can go.
Great. I'd like to thank Abe Dinkus once again for moderating and hosting this debate. I'd like to thank JS and Moerebuttle for participating in this debate. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself. I think that it is pretty clear that there were laid out motivations behind racism, and they're attributed to ontological, hierarchical, and moral claims that are based on perceived lineage. Right. And as far as what race is, it seemed like everything that race could be chalked up to was either invisible, and that was the tying factor of things that could not be seen, and that the visible part seemed to be only something that you could figure out through a DNA test, or you could figure it out through the questionnaires that were already there. There's enough in the medical system to show what a person could be suffering from, and we wouldn't have to do race. You could, again, I didn't really hear anything that phenotype didn't cover, because when you're saying, well, it's a clustered area, well, not every phenotype is to a clustered area, but every phenotype has different variations. So if you go to Africa, and there are places where people look different and don't have sickle cell lineage, and places where they don't look the same and they do have sickle cell lineage, well, then are they the same race because of sickle cell only, or are they the same race because of their phenotype? I didn't really feel like I got a satisfactory answer on that. It seemed like, yes, things are vague, but race. I didn't really see where I got that. But it's not that Mo couldn't give me a better answer, or he won't give a better answer in the future. I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast, because we're just kind of jumping in. And but otherwise, I really enjoyed tonight's debate, and I look forward to more four squares in the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And I suppose, JS, that makes it your turn. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. If you guys couldn't tell, I don't really take this debate that seriously. I just say stuff to trigger people sometimes, and I think I proved that people get triggered, and then they want to say, "Why he said race and racism doesn't exist?" This isn't a debate about who's right or who's wrong. If I take Reexamination's definition of what racism is, then I concede racism is real. That's what racism is. That's real. If I take Mo's definition of what race is, some arbitrary, subjective, inconsistent nonsense that he just picks a random time and says that's where our lineage and our geographic location is, then yeah, race is real. Sure. I'll give it to you guys. You guys won. You got it. To me, this debate isn't about does race or does racism exist. This is a debate about words and how we use words to control people and how we move the needle. If you look into the definition of, or if you look into the origins of racism, Google's going to tell you that it was started by 15th century Christians in the 1500s. Christians in the 1500s started racism. If you look into who's the most racist group, it's going to be the evil Christian white man. So if you want to keep giving power to Marxists and leftists who want to control people with words, keep talking like them, keep using their words, keep giving them that power. I don't believe in giving them that power. The way I'm going to shut it down is say, that's stupid. It doesn't exist. I'm not going to use your definitions. I'm not going to agree with any of it. But if I internally critique it and I say, okay, this is what Reexam says racism is, sure, that's racism. That exists. If Mo says this is what race is, sure, that's race. It exists. I'll give it to you. But you're talking and sounding like liberals and Marxists and leftists who hate Christian white men, and you're giving them power. I'm not going to give them that power. I'm going to shut it down at the root. It's simply hate. We're in a spiritual battle, not a physical battle. It's not about the flesh. We have the same ancestry. We have the same lineage. We come from the same geographic region. I don't look at people like that. But if you guys want to keep giving the people who do power, you go right on ahead and do it. That's all I got.
Joke's on you guys. I was just pretending to be retarded. It was a troll the whole time.
Awesome. Thank you, JS, for that. I'm gonna throw this out there. Something that sticks in my head is a quote by Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
And they asked him, how do we solve racism? And Morgan Freeman said, stop
bringing it up. Race.
Stop talking about it.
Yeah.
The more we talk about it, the more we push it into the limelight all the time,
then it doesn't exist.
Fall into it.
It exists in the mind.
So wait a minute, JS. Then why don't you make that your position? If this whole thing was just like, I don't want to indulge in snake language, then why is that not your position? Then say this doesn't exist.
Maybe. Well, I mean, I've done this debate formally multiple times. You can go on my channel. You can watch the debates. I always say this. I always say, I don't care. It's about words.
But that's not the main premise of your structure. You're literally saying racist doesn't exist. That's all I'm saying. Oh, by the way, sorry, I'm a bad debater. I'm honest. Sorry, Abe, sorry. Thank you for hosting. I didn't say that in my closing. Thank you for hosting. This has been great. Thank you to everybody who came. Really enjoyed it. This went far better than I imagined. So thanks everybody for showing up. This is great.
All right, you gents
decently productive.
Are you gents all staying for after panel?
As long as I can, because
I got third.
As long as I can take a piss first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll stay for a bit. I'm coming close to my limits on my free streaming on StreamYard, so until it unplugs me, I'll be with you.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break real quick.
I got like 40 minutes.
Okay. And Mo, you got to pee.
Yeah, I got to piss real quick.
And I also
okay.
Pee.
All right, I'm gonna play.
I might as well too.
I'm going to play a video and song. You guys go take your break. I'll throw out the link, and I'll play the video, and we'll reconvene when it's over.
Awesome.
All right. Chat, we will be right back after this.
Have him low, eyes up. Said stay small, he just laughed from his gut. Late night screen, glow rum on the desk. Pin like a pistol, heart pounding in his chest. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's stones from the shards. Laughs at the slurs, turn scars into art. Wide brim shadow on a rusted old truck. He's talking truth, they're praying he shuts up. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow, take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's time. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Frontline words in a cultural fight. Pay Abe so he can grow, take flight. Back this man, let him claim what's right. Pass that plate, this ain't charity, it's war. Pass that plate, every dollar is a door. Open roads where his voice runs wild. You fund the fight, you free the child inside. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow, take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's time. It's time. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Frontline words.
Everybody's like, oh, what's happening right now?
What do I do now, Mr. President?
Oh, man.
Abe's killing zombies.
How are
With
you
a
in two
flaming
places at
sword.
once?
That's the question. That is the question.
Right.
I can't tell you.
And you'd have to
It's
Mo-
kill
not
us.
real.
Mo took the bait that's made for radical black people.
Oh, man.
Well, I didn't know
Hey, you
Mo.
want to expand on that?
Well, can I just say that Mo is passing, so I would have never guessed that he was Latino or Hispanic.
That's right.
It's
Mo,
meant
I'm
to,
not. I can't.
why-
I can't get your blood marrow now. You know.
It's why his camera's black and white, by the
You'll
way.
never get it.
One of us. One of us.
it's meant to trigger people like Freddie and Jalen who come on my panels and they're, what do you mean racism doesn't exist? I'm black. You don't
When,
even know.
when
And-
at
and
any
by the
part
way,
of this did I
Marte-
look triggered? I've been having a great time.
No, I
This has
mean-
been hilarious.
No, not triggered like that. But like when I said this months ago, you're like, oh, I want to debate you on that. We're doing that debate, and I was like, I mean, it's not that fun when you do it.
And by the way, shout out to
Well,
Marte
maybe
because I
white
know he wanted to be part of this, and just say, "I've got you, brother."
Well, then Marte did it
got too
too, and
much going
I
on.
was like, well, Marte's like conservative or more conservative. Marte's like conservative guys. It's I'm trying
I
to.
think if you lead with if your real claim is that it's snake language, you don't want to give the left power, then maybe just lead with that, and that should be the argument, right? Like, why is it like saying race doesn't exist? You're gonna get a crazy amount of people that are like, what the hell are you talking about?
Hold on, though.
It's gonna
Fights with the world.
overshadow.
Hold on.
You're
hold on. This is-
overshadowing the real point.
Hold on, though, because if we look at this from the same scope as you and I were dealing with empathy before, it's the same
Yeah.
claim. This is a word being used to harness control over people
Exactly.
through manipulation of a thing that is classifiably unreal. Other than your perspective of a person's skin color and the region they're from, the race isn't a different thing because we're all humans. We are one race.
Right.
We're one
Yeah,
thing. We aren't a
That-
bunch
that's
of different things.
true.
We are actually one.
that
genetically
is. They have
similar.
similarities. Yeah.
When you were arguing about empathy,
But
I
I've
was in the
also
chat.
I've kind of changed my. I think I'm changing my approach with the empathy thing a little bit to attack it from because I'll be honest, like the debate I saw with Rob, like he made a to my knowledge the best case for it as it has utility, right? But
We're
even that, I
prepping
think
to
I don't
defeat
agree
that
with.
right now.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that because that goes back to my super chat, right? Just because the left employs certain things doesn't mean we should adopt them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And when you do, when you fight
JS
for it, you give them power.
Right. But JS's argument actually does have a little bit of weight to it. Like, I come from a large family, right? I'm the second of 9 kids. I am the only one in my family who is blood type O negative. So none of my immediate family can actually donate blood to me or marrow. It's incompatible. How is that any different than, you know, it's like, also in my family, we've got towhead blondes, and we've got like almost black hair, and the reds and the sandy black browns and everything else in between. But we come from the same mother and father. So like, where can you actually say that genetically I'm more similar to them than anyone else who may be naturally darker melanated than I am?
Well, blood type is different across the board, so that's just a medical category that they use to do blood matching for donation.
Right, but they also have to match
have
your blood type to
do
the
with race.
marrow. Well, but one of the arguments or for race being a category was that people from the African continent cannot necessarily just easily receive bone marrow transplant from someone from the European continent, right? But I can't receive it from any of my direct siblings.
Well, I think he was saying that you do look the same, right?
I don't know. All I know is this is how we.
I look an awful lot like some guy named Brandon.
Brandon.
That's very true. Some guy named Brandon. Okay. Shout out to you.
Yeah, some guy named Brandon. Yeah, he's out there somewhere.
This is how we get hate speech laws and hate crimes.
What does looks have to do with it?
Nothing. I'm just arguing by proxy.
That's okay. Reexamination.
Right. All I'm saying is JS's arguments had a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. All I'm saying is JS's argument has a little bit of validity to it.
This is an anecdote, but it's an interesting story. I knew a white guy, and he went to prison. Before he went to prison, he was what you would call, I don't want to say the WIGG word. He was a thug. He was a white thug, you know. He listened to rap music. He went to prison. Well, you're not going to get accepted with the black guys in prison. So when he came out of prison, he had a Swazi tat. He ran with the Aryans while he was in prison. While he was in prison, he was full AB, Aryan Brotherhood, hung out with the white guys, said, F these N-words, F these N-words. When he got out, he kept that tattoo covered, and he started hanging out with black guys again. He never really hated black guys. He just did what he did to survive. And so
what you're saying is you can pretend to be racism. You can
pretend racist. Well, I think it's all pretend.
Yeah, so you can pretend to be racist, which would still they tell me that is racism.
To be fair,
I can make counterfeit dollars, but real dollars exist.
It's like 90% of everything's made up because it's all perception. So
if you can fake it, it doesn't exist. Hey, Emmett.
Emmett. What's up,
Emmett?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes. There you go.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You're playing your intro. Wow, he has his own intro. He came in with his own WCW intro music.
Hey,
like, that's production right there.
It started here, man. It started here.
When does Emmett get the stored animation to where he's just like,
I'm actually gonna make one now that you said. Actually, I might have to make one where
I gotta get me some intro music. That sounds awesome. I didn't do that.
Count Emmett is fighting Abe, Vampire Hunter, because I think that's been a long time coming, and it has to be on a volcano in Yellowstone. So
I'm gonna make you a diss track, Abe.
Ooh, really? You're gonna?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Abe
Uh-oh.
Dinkus.
This track.
Let's go.
I got something to
Yeah.
say.
All
You're
in
gonna
on
get
that.
you're gonna get the fuck dissed, okay?
Okay.
Oh shit!
He
Yeah, you don't have
gets
the
a 4
rivalry's gonna
score.
start.
Stays in
Listen.
the corner.
Let's
We never
Welcome to
know
the
what he's
theater,
gonna
Abe.
say.
Call me John Wilkes Booth.
Listen, Emmett. You're not grounded enough, my friend. You're not grounded enough.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay,
what
I
you-
may-
4-score rap battles. New thing.
Yes. Did you see the White Knight of the Panelverse?
No.
You guys haven't seen the White Knight of the Panelverse? My God.
Well,
yes, that was
there's a few-
awesome.
Oh.
I'm not going to name names,
No,
but
what-
there's a competition, I
I-
think. But go ahead.
I don't
No,
even know
no,
how
no,
you watch
no.
any of that.
You don't know. You don't know.
No, I
Give
don't
me a
know.
second. Exactly.
I feel like Game is breaking news right now. What are we talking
Yes.
about here?
Yes.
Now, when we say
Uh,
white, no I'm kidding.
Breaking,
Racist.
breaking news. PNN reporter shows up.
yeah,
Are you sharing your
exactly.
screen, Emmett?
He should.
I'm not. Well, I can share my screen, but I'm not gonna share my screen. Put me. Give me a second.
That's another
this
reason
done.
I won't believe in racism or race, because I'll become an ethno-nationalist race realist real fast.
Why?
Wait, why is that the entailment of that? What the hell?
Oh,
No,
It's like,
that's the-
if this description
is it-
claims true, I'm just gonna be
Oh.
racist.
Yeah.
That's a tomato. I get it.
that's hilarious.
Ah, nice.
That's
Very nice.
freaking hilarious.
What is on the horse's no? Oh, that's a lance or
A
It's a lance. He has
It's
a lance
called
on
a
one arm.
lance. Hello.
a horse had like a horn on its nose. It's a unicorn.
No. He
It's a
it's-
nose
it's just
unicorn.
it was a Pegasus
A
Knight,
nose
but I had to
unicorn.
take the wings off because I'm gonna use it on another model. So I made it. I made it the White Knight of the Panelverse.
It's a corny horse.
Yeah.
Where did Nate go? Nate just dropped.
Yeah,
goes
he
in and
ran
out.
away from the White Knight of the Panelverse. What are you talking about?
That's
There's
probably,
a guy in my chat, Darth Thoranus. He's asking if that's a Klansman.
No,
I'm gonna throw this out there though.
but
I heard a
if
saying
you want
once-
a Klansman, I know a guy who's
my
not Emmett who you can contact at Count Emmett who can make one for you.
Man, that's an unfortunate circumstance for your reputation.
That's true.
My reputation?
Well,
His
I've got-
reputation.
Listen, I heard a really good saying once. It's beware white knights, people. They're not the good guys. They're the ones hiding the dragon in the dungeon, waiting to see whom they may unleash it on. They don't slay them; they keep them for themselves. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting.
it's like the sneaky
Yeah.
effers are the white knights, and They keep
Speaking
everybody's
of the
secrets.
clan, the
I
SPLC.
got my
Okay.
membership letter in the mail.
Good
They
job on
accepted
telling
me.
people. Good job telling people we don't exist.
Yeah,
The
the
SPLC
SPLC
what?
Good job.
spending
Here's your $7,000
$3
deposit.
to fabricate racism.
And your biker
fabricated
patch.
racism. They made up fake
Oh.
racism.
Oh, so they're being sued for
Yeah, they're being
for
sued because they were
false-
taking donors' money to fabricate
What do you know?
extremism and racism.
What
Shocker.
do you know? Yeah, shocker.
Right.
Not that any of us are shocked, pull ties and all that.
Well, we all know the history of the Democrat Party here, right? The Klan and the bullwhip and standing in front of schoolhouse doors and the internment camps and the Trail of Tears. So nothing new.
So Emmett,
Yeah.
is race real and is racism real?
I would say after hearing all of these amazing arguments, I will say racism is fake and gay, just like empathy.
They
I'm a transcendental racist.
Grounded.
Yeah, it's the race is human, and I hate them all. So that is the transcendent part of the racism argument.
I thought you were supposed to love them all, Emmett.
Oh, I'm not Jesus Christ.
Yeah. If you hate one, you hate all.
Yeah. So
That's another
I'm
reason.
hoping.
That's another reason racism doesn't exist. Because if you hate one person because of their skin color, you don't love anybody. You have no love.
But I will say this. I am also. I have also eyes, and I know that melanin toxicity is an actual case study, and you have to beware because it causes specific problems in the brain of individuals that have melanin toxicity.
Does that include like Indians?
Especially Indians. Yeah, especially them. They have a thing with feces that I'm not specifically fond of. So you have to be very aware of them people. You know that the wall should be like 40 feet higher when it comes to the Indians.
Which wall?
In fact, do you realize that God made the Himalayas a way just to keep them in that specific part of the world? He was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" So he created the Himalayas as
Himalayas?
high as
Himalayas.
as tall as possible. You know, as tall as
Himalayas.
possible, so that they will not leave India.
Leave him alone. He's from Czechoslovakia. He doesn't speak English. Okay, calm
Yeah,
down.
the Himalayas.
So listen, Emmett. This is not my claim, but a claim has been
Mhm.
made of you that you're a churchist. Okay,
I am a churchist. Yes, I
Okay,
believe.
I'm
I
just
believe in
checking.
the church.
churchist.
Dude, I thought Emmett was from like
Purchased.
Ukraine this whole time, but he's
You thought?
I'm Czechoslovakian.
Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakian.
I did tell
Yes.
somebody earlier tonight, Emmett, that you do have sharpened poles in your yard waiting. So
Yes, that's true as well.
yes,
Emmett the Impaler.
yes, Emmett the Impaler.
Every now and again.
But remember, he's a shapeshifter too. Like he's Emmett Goldwitz,
Golden Steinberg.
Steinberg. So
Emmett Witz, Golden
and Count
Steinberg.
Emmett,
That's another.
and Goth Emmett.
That's
Oh,
another
I-
interesting one. Is
I am a churchist. Sorry, I will let you go. I'm a churchist, except when it comes to the Talmud, I'm a Sola Talmuda. So I'm a Jewish Protestant.
but is Jewish a race or a religion?
Ah,
I don't know. I
Both.
don't care. It's whatever I interpret in the Talmud that
Because
day.
you could be
That's what
black. You could be a black. You could have all the phenotypes of a black
Yeah.
person or a white person, but then they would say their race is Jewish.
It would depend on how I interpret the Talmud that day.
is that some kind of transubstantiation? Like you become it if you
No, sometimes I read stuff on the Talmud and it tells me whatever I want to hear because I'm a Protestant Talmudist. You know, it depends.
You gotta pray. You gotta pray really hard to get the answer you need. from
Yeah,
it.
I get the inspiration from the whole
From the Sephiroth?
You're having
Not
an
the Holy
identity
Spirit.
crisis, Emmett.
from the Sephiroth.
I just
Maybe it's just
get the
picking and choosing.
inspiration from from the God. Yes,
God.
from the
This
God.
looks good. I'll take this.
Well,
Yeah.
most who got divine revelation after the fact were from a random angel that they gave random names, or they tried to write in that it was an angel that was already written.
Oh,
about
that's right. That's right.
prior. Right.
I
Right.
get inspiration from the angel of the Lord. That's how it works.
So you're was it Joseph Smith 2.0?
No,
You found,
no.
you found some golden tablets.
It's like a Southern Baptist, but instead of reading the Bible with Sola Scriptura, is a Sola Talmuda.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, this happened because a Jewish person was calling me a Protestant, and I said, "Well, yeah, I am. I do read my Talmud, and I interpret it myself."
I mean,
So-
we technically all protest Judaism.
Actually,
I
that's pretty
don't
true.
protest Judaism. I just
Orthodox and
protest the
Catholics
rabbis.
and Protestants.
Protestants. They all
Even
say
the
come to
Muslims.
Christ.
Even
Yeah.
the Muslims
That's
were
true.
all
Protestants.
protesting.
We're all Protestants.
Even the Muslims try to incorporate the New Testament with the Injil thing.
Indeed,
Uh,
everybody's protesting it.
Abe, are you going
Say
to
we
keep
just
going after
protest
this?
Islam.
Well, I put the link out for people to join, but
I
Yeah,
don't
put
know
it in
if
my
I
chat
can-
too.
I don't know
Maybe
if I
nobody
can
wants to be
raid-
touched
I'm
with this
pasting
discussion.
I'm pasting it into the StreamYard, so it should be going to every linked place. So any of your people can come too, as long as they click the link. They just have to not be turds, and we'll be good.
Yeah. I will say this: whenever we talk about race, it's kind of weird for me because I don't understand what exactly it means. Except because there's like 4 or 5 different definitions that people give. So if it's just a characteristics towards a tribe, I think you can say that, but don't care about my hatred doesn't come with how you look, it's towards the tribe, right? I don't care who
Yeah.
you if you look like you're Indian, like Lodge, I don't dislike Lodge because he looks like an Indian. I dislike Lodge because he's a filthy atheist.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nothing to do with how he looks. It's just because it has to do with the tribe he belongs to, which in
Are
this
you
case is
sure?
the filthy atheist.
Yeah, I would
Filthy atheist
rather.
tribe.
Are you
I'm
sure
in the
it's not
tribe of the black
libertarian?
conservative more than I'm in the tribe of the blue-haired white liberal.
Yeah.
Well,
We could say that, all of us.
well, see,
Yeah, I don't
it's
like
not
witches
actually-
either.
To bringing that up, that's actually something that in my debate with Rob, that was brought up, that was pretty on point. I think that tribalism is natural in humans, and that in-group tribalism to protect the people of your group, your nation, your town, your family, right, is pretty inbuilt in us. And it doesn't have to be like just because they're the same color or whatever. It could be we're all Christian. It could be we're all American. It could be, and I do think that there's a natural predilection in the human being for a type of tribalism. And he equated that. He equated the base parts of what we use as empathy as that, because there's a spotlight effect that is denoted in empathy within psychology, that there's always an in-group preference for earnest empathy, and that people who look like you generally gain the most empathy from you, the most attractive people, the most likable people, all of those things tend to get the empathy. And there's a spotlight effect, and I think that's due to tribalism, and I think we're kind of built that way.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think
it's
you're right on that part, Abe.
it's about
The
idealism.
people.
How long Nate's always on
Go
a
ahead,
delay.
Jess.
I was just gonna say it's not about black and white. If we have to have an ism, it's idealism, because everything else is going to be arbitrary and just made up and subjective and inconsistent. It's idealism. I don't
think
like
it's
your
idealism.
ideas.
I think it's
Uh,
ideologyism.
I think it's
Yeah,
Christianity.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, you all
But-
you
yeah.
all suck, including me. Get better. Find
That's
Christ.
true.
That's a good one. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So actually,
No,
Abe
okay.
brings up an interesting point here about tribalism. I guess on the question for the panel, is tribalism inherently bad?
No.
No.
It depends on what you mean.
Mhm.
Because
If
if you say I am morally obligated to hate the out group and love the in group, irrespective, then that would be bad. But if you're saying tribalism in terms of like we are under threat based on some common perceived outward thing we have, then it's more efficient for us to stick together for our survival without having to hate the people
Well,
that are
wait.
persecuting
Even
us.
No.
if we take the first descriptor that you gave there, Rex, would it be inherently bad to feel that way? Let's say if tribalism is attributed to Christianity versus atheism.
Well, Christianity, you're supposed to love everybody. You're supposed to the Father sends
Yeah, but you
rain
can
upon.
hate their actions, right?
Yeah, but that wouldn't be tribalism, because hating actions is not people group to people group.
Well,
It's talking about
yeah.
actions.
True. Rex,
Tribalism is people
but-
group to people group.
Right, but
Well-
Rex, you're also not going to allow like serpents in the garden, right? You're not going to let people who are seeking to destroy to continue to mingle,
No,
right?
no, because but
And
that's action based and goal based, right? So if we see somebody who's like a false, person who's trying to undermine us, then we kick them out. Yeah, I mean that's prescriptive of the
Well, yeah,
church too.
atheism doesn't have a color or a race. Atheism is a ideology or a belief. Really, it's a religion, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
so
But that's opposition
That
to an
would be-
idea. That's not what I think. When I think tribalism, that's why it's good to define it, because if you say should we hate atheism, absolutely. But do we hate atheists? Well, no, they're also made in God's image, just like us. We pray for them, we witness to them, we tell them to repent, and obviously we should try and get some influence in the government so we can promote the Ten Commandments in the Bible in schools.
Actually, this is interesting. This is kind of a side question for you, Rex. I don't think I've ever actually engaged you in this. Do you believe in the death penalty?
Yeah, I think that Romans 13 not only permits it but gives the basis for it. Yes,
Okay.
they do not bear the sword in vain.
You can love someone, have love with them, but still like punish them for their actions.
It happened in the Old Testament all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Based. All right.
But
Yeah.
you asked, is tribalism inherently bad? But I'd say no. But then when I think about it, it is the result of the fall. Like if there were no fall, then there would be no separate tribes. And like the Tower of Babel, God changes the language. In the Bible, it doesn't talk about race. It talks about peoples, languages, and nations.
I think
so-
it's inherently a trick question, JS.
Yeah.
I do, because tribalism can take any form, right? If we're saying tribalism as in you have a group of like-minded people that support each other, help each other, and defend and protect each other and uplift their goals and their mission, that's fine. But the moment that tribalism takes the form of a band of people in, say, Iran in the 70s that decide that they're going to overthrow a government, well, maybe no. Maybe we don't want that tribalism.
Well, and like, so is sexism inherently bad? Well,
Yeah,
we
I don't
let
know.
Men and women's sports. That's not bad. Sorry, Nate. You go ahead because I know he's on a delay, so we got to.
Yes. All you, Nate.
No, you guys are the main ones. I'm here to just kind of interject, but I mean, I guess one aspect of tribalism that I'd wished I'd paid attention to earlier in my life was septum ring theory. I mean, yeah,
Nose ring theory's a thing.
my
It's real.
dating history really proves that one.
Oh, and don't forget, beware the hair. If it's like really short or really unnatural colors, beware the hair.
That's an
Yeah.
aposematic mechanism.
Nature tends to make things that are poisonous very colorful.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Tree
There-
frog theory.
That's called an aposematic mechanism.
Yeah,
They-
tree frog theory.
there's a huge thing of outward dysfunction shows an inward dysfunction, and so
Yes.
you're going to display the dysfunction that exists within you outwardly in some way, shape, or form. I think those are glaring examples to the whole of society. Something is wrong here. Walk away.
You will know them by their fruit.
Yep.
And part of that too comes with the people who have so much plastic surgery to look like lizards and
well-
wild cats and all that stuff. It's like something is deeply wrong with you. It's kind of like how an infestation. If you have an infestation, like sometimes you turn on the light and like they scatter. But once you start seeing them during the day, you know, whatever insects are in your place, that's a deep bad infestation that you just don't hide anymore. It's all over you. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, thank you. I also have another theory about tattoos. Anyone who has not actually participated in warfare, but is blasted in tattoos, and this goes for males or females, that is just as big a warning as for mental instability as multicolored, bright colored hair and septum piercings.
Well, more people have tattoos than don't now.
Seriously, the like my what? Well, yeah, but also we're in like a 60% mentally ill society now.
Well, you served, Abe.
Like I said,
what about
my
serving
theory?
gives you-
My theory actually starts from right. That's where my theory actually starts from. Well, if they've actually served in warfare in wartime, right? They've actually then I do think ink can be a cathartic way to memorialize and draw it out of the mental, so that it's never gone. There's a physical representation of it, but it doesn't have to stay in the mental.
So
If
on
that
that
makes
note,
sense.
on that note, Nate, I was raised very strongly against any form of tattooing. And yet I have a bunch of tattoos and I'm a combat vet. But the thing that I've realized is the most important pieces of the verses or the structure about tattooing is you're not supposed to tattoo the names of ancestors, the dead, the fallen. All of those things are a sign or symbol of worship to, like, ancestor worship, which is very talked against in scripture. And then what you see is there was a huge
Right.
move in ancient times to do that, to memorialize people who have died on their flesh outwardly. And I think that there's a danger in that. Now, if you've just got iconography or symbolism or a story, that's different than like some level of either person worship or ancestry worship on your flesh.
I disagree with
That's
that.
an opinion. That's an opinion.
Well, let me ask you this, Abe. So, if you
Agree with
say
that.
ancestry worship, so if a guy
I
has
agree.
like tattooed of mom or whatever on his shoulder, or like a child who has passed away or something like that, would that be considered a sin?
I don't know if it's a sin, but I don't think that it's wise. I think there's something to that, because that's what the passages talk about, is to not mark the names of the fallen on your flesh. And so
Let the dead bury the dead.
and so I think there's an inherent danger in that. I don't ask me why, but like for me, I was raised that no tattoos, and those verses were used as the reason you don't get tattoos. But those verses specifically state it's the fallen, like people who have died, people who are in your past or your ancestors aren't to be put on your flesh. And so when I look back at that, I'm like, oh, well, that's different than just a freaking tree or a butterfly or something that has some random beauty or aesthetic. It's different than a person who you knew, and now you've put the name of that dead person on your flesh forever, for the rest of your human life, at least your flesh life.
What do you think there is to that? Because it's like you're enshrining a memorial to a human as opposed to your body being a temple to God in all ways. Is that what you think it is?
Probably something along those lines. I mean, I'm like I said, this is just an opinion statement, but that felt inherently wrong to me, is to have the name of somebody who has fallen in battle. Like you are memorializing a person who has left this place. And ancestry worship is another one, because if you're worshiping ancestors, then you're putting people in the place of God in your heart at that moment. And so I don't think that's wise. Again,
Definitely not a
opinions here.
girlfriend or a wife. You seen it where they have like 4 different names and 3 of them are X'd out? They keep getting girlfriends' names tattooed on them.
Yeah, you can't tell if that's like a
tattoos. I almost got sleeves once, but I'm glad I didn't, because what I would have gotten, I wouldn't match up with my current ideology.
Whoa.
Are you talking about serial killers? Yes. More, and like, the names and the X's.
You write your assassination list on your arm, and then once you complete it, 1, 2, 3.
Your hit list. Yeah.
Right. Sally's gone. Jesse's gone. Megan's gone. They're all. Who's next?
All your victims. Yeah, there's an interesting thing. Why I said that if I believe in race and racism is I'll end up being a race realist or like an ethno-nationalist.
That's a pretty crazy claim. Can you expand on that? Because I don't see how.
I agree with JS.
When I look at crime rates and I see that certain races do the most violent crimes, when I look at the bell curve, I see different IQ levels in different races. There's the lunchroom study where they studied how kids in lunchrooms naturally group together based on race. They always separate on race. Churches separate by race. Then I start to. You have but generally, people will kind of.
Yeah, I've never been to liturgy and they all like, stack in a line based on race. That's kind of a crazy claim.
Oh no, but I mean like there are more what you might call interracial marriages at my church than not.
Really?
So it's very and especially for like a very conservative, socially and politically kind of church, it's very rare. So I appreciate that a ton because I think that reflects.
Why you appreciate that? First of all, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
Of course,
who are these?
Oh, we all know, like, there's-
why wouldn't I appreciate that?
There's like
Because
the
it doesn't
black
make any
churches.
sense. It's so dumb. It's just humans marrying. It's like, oh, I appreciate that there's a lot of black guys fucking a lot of white chicks. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't give a shit about their race. Doesn't mean anything.
Okay, then it shouldn't
It's
bother
retarded.
you. Okay,
It's not-
cool.
That is virtue signaling, okay? What you just did there, fucking virtue signaling. Oh, I appreciate a bunch of black guy fucking all the white chicks. It's fucking stupid. It's retarded. It doesn't mean anything.
I agree that what you said was stupid and had nothing to do with what I said. So
that's exactly what you said. You just said it with other
that's
words.
Exactly what I said. That's my
yes.
own words.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interracial mingling in my church. I appreciate that. It's so good.
I don't know why this triggers you so much. I don't know why
it's so
this
good to
triggers
have
you
a
so
bunch
much.
of black guys fucking all the white chicks. I love it. Oh my god. It's fucking
I don't know why that
retarded.
got on
Doesn't
your
mean
mind.
anything.
I don't know why that got. I didn't know why that got on your mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying the thing you said, but
No, you're
you
not
know,
saying
at
it.
least
You're
a
not
lot
saying
more
what I
direct
said.
than you are.
I'm
sorry.
talking-
What do you think?
so-
what do you
so
think
I'm-
people that marry interracially do? They just hold hands?
What you think that? Okay, you think that only interracial marriages have sex? What's your point? What is your point? You just get triggered over nothing.
Yes, I think marriage have sex. Oh my god. Whoa. Blew my fucking mind out there. What do you think? I'm a
you're not
lefty? It's like,
tracking.
oh.
You are not tracking at all with what I'm
The
saying.
lefties are the guys that
it's
say,
not
"Oh,
a
you
fan
get
of
married, that you don't
racist
get any sex." But I'm a
Why-
staunch Christian. You get married and you get all of them, baby. That's
What are
what
you
we
talking
do.
about,
We get
dude?
on them babies.
Emmett,
What,
I don't.
was there more to this
I don't even
statement?
know what the point is of all this.
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
I
you
can make-
can you
if I
can
could
say that you don't
if-
know, but at the end of the day, what you're doing or what you did right there, okay, what you just did was virtue signal. Oh my God, I love the
virtue
fact that we have
signaling
a
is
bunch of
inherently-
interracial
okay.
marriage. It doesn't mean anything.
So let's just grant it. Let's just grant it. What's wrong with virtue signaling? Can you tell me?
Yeah, everything is wrong about virtue signaling because
Good
it's not
job.
actual virtue. There's no virtue in virtue signaling. Okay.
Okay,
You're
are
not
you
better.
ready?
You're not better
Are you
than
ready?
most because you
Who
think
ca-
you
I
are.
never cla- I
Because a
never
bunch of
claimed-
black guys
I
fuck a
never
bunch of white girls in your church.
Never claimed.
That
Never claimed,
that is
never
exactly
claimed,
what you do
never
when you're virtue
claimed,
signaling. Is
never
you're saying, "Oh, I'm
claimed,
better."
I hate
Never
to
My
claimed.
church,
this, but I
my
gotta
church
go
is
out.
better than yours because
Hold
mine has a
on.
bunch of black guys fucking a
Emmett.
bunch of white girls.
That's the
Hold on,
dumbest thing.
hold on.
That's the dumbest characterization you could have
Hold on.
made.
You
JS?
can say that.
Emmett, hold on.
I know I can.
JS
It's
wants
true.
to-
Yeah, you can say that. It doesn't mean anything.
Emmett. JS wants to leave. Let him do his spiel.
It's nothing long. JS Urban Adventures, check it out. Monday nights we do the Dreaded Conservative Show, news and politics and social commentary, stuff like that. Friday and Saturday nights, streaming, panels, yelling at each other. And I'm working on reading the whole Bible live on stream, and we're in Daniel right now. We're halfway through Daniel. So that happens in the
Nice.
mornings throughout the week, randomly. So just subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll know and all that good stuff. But we're working on 6K right now. So
Awesome.
get it. But thank
Thanks
you,
for coming
Abe.
up,
Thank you,
JS.
Mo. Thank you, Reexam. That was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine, man.
Good to see you, JS.
I don't get too contentious about it because it is kind of, to me, it's just like a fun thing to talk about. But it is interesting.
No,
Yes, sir.
and I'm glad we had it in this format too because it got a lot more out of it than just like a two-sided thing. I think this format's pretty cool.
Yep. All right, guys. God bless. Have a good one.
Agreed.
So, yeah,
God bless,
Have a
man.
good night,
Later.
JS.
Later.
So, Emmett, did he have more to his statement than just what he said? Because there is a possibility that there was more to the statement that made it not